604 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane off and running. Brian here with you, John LaBeouf producing. We are getting your morning started at 44 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Yeah, we're bracing for rain tonight. You heard that the forecast from McMakin Cowan. It might get bad in the overnight hours. Fortunately, though, looking like that which while we're in daylight hours, we should be fine. So we got a lot of ground to cover this morning, and time is short, so let's get right into it. Top stories and trending. Let's go.
Number 5.
Dozens of protesters gathered at Louisiana state capitol yesterday to protest Donald Trump and Elon Musk's policies targeting government waste as the Department of Government Efficiency rolls on. Quote, "Stop the coup" was among the protesters' chants. The Guardian reports that progressive Democrats and political experts have called Musk and his Doge involvement in government a plutocratic coup. Sorry, there was too many C's in there. The protest at the Capitol, rather innocuous. Like we said, a couple dozen people out there, if that. Saw some pictures. It was we've seen bigger.
Number 4.
If you want to back the blue, you can do so in a time when a BRPD officer is in desperate need. BRPD said New York Bagel is going to be hosting a Give Back Day tomorrow, February 19th. 20% of the proceeds of that give back are going to go to funeral and medical expenses for Cason Walters, the son of Officer Gabe Walters, who died on January 10th. That's a poorly worded sentence. Officer Gabe Walters lost his son Cason back on January 10th. This fundraiser is going to happen at both New York Bagel locations in Baton Rouge to help offset those expenses.
Number 3.
East Baton Rouge Parish Library officials said Monday they will ask the mayor president's office to delete the proposal that would shift money from the library's dedicated funds to the parish's general fund, instead hoping to work together with the mayor on a compromise. Assistant director of the library, Mary Stein, told the Baton Rouge Press Club that she hopes the decision will ultimately help resolve the current issue. Mayor President Sid Edwards was at the press club for the ask.
Number 2.
One person was shot and killed along North 23rd Street on Monday night. BRPD was working the fatal shooting, which happened around 6 p.m. It was near the corner, like we said, of North 23rd and Birch Streets. And that's all the information we have.
Number 1.
Last week, DOTD workers handed out flyers to those living near the Washington Street exit, alerting them that it could soon be shut down. Monday, lawmakers said they want the exit blocked off by December. State Representative Dixon McMakin is going to be with us at 7:15 to talk about the closure. What's trending, John?
Well, Mark Zuckerberg is catching blowback on social media, including his own platform, after announcing that Facebook would end its fact-checking policy and replace it with a system similar to that of X's Community Notes, a product of the network's Elon Musk era.
I haven't seen where Community Notes has resulted in less truth being told. Although
it's like a suggestion box, right?
Let me make a correction of what was said here. Let me add context to what was said here.
Yeah.
Because all too often, what is misleading is not necessarily untrue. It's just a selection of facts, where what's telling is what's left out of that selection, right?
Right.
Two things can be true at the same time.
Yes, absolutely. In other news, thankfully, no one was killed, though 18 people were injured when a plane crash landed upside down in Toronto.
Yeah.
Insane.
Crash landed. I know.
Yeah.
Oh, I would like to know more about the story. I tell you what, I bet you there's 625. Let's circle back to this one at 625.
All right, will do. Hey, college football could be on the verge of another big overhaul, and this time it could involve expanding the already expanded playoff system in the future. 14 to 16 teams could be in the mix.
Okay. 12 was a big number. It was a big ask this year. We saw some blowouts this year. That first round of the playoffs was not good. But here's the thing, though. We're going to grow into it. Yeah. We're going to grow into it. Just like every other sport out there, as it grows, you grow into it.
Absolutely.
So why not get to 16, which is where you would ultimately be anyway. When you have 16, you get rid of the buys. You have 4 rounds at that. 16 would be quarterfinals. And no. 8 would be quarterfinals and 4 would be semifinals. So this would be one more round outside of that. But it's where the sport's headed. Go ahead, do it now, and work your way through some bad years.
Do it.
Yep.
Do it now.
Oh, that was your look at what's trending this morning. Before we take our break, got to remind you about the folks over at son of a gun. Remind you about the folks over at Landmark Bank. You can check them out online at landmarkbankla.com. What are you finding at Landmark Bank? Well, first and foremost, let's be very clear. If you're in the surrounding area, you're going to want to look up Landmark Bank because you're not going to find them within the city limits of Baton Rouge. What you are going to find is in the surrounding area, you're not just going to have a bank, you're going to have a banker. You're not just going to have a bank, you're going to have a relationship with that banker. They've been doing this for more than 100 years now. In fact, I want to say they started in 1897. Right from their website, Landmark Bank was founded in August of 1897 and capitalized with $15,000 from local investors who recognized the need for the community to have a bank that call their own. They have grown in the surrounding area. If you're in Brewley, that's where the newest branch is on Highway 1. They've got them in Greensburg, Denham Springs, 2 locations in Zachary. Check out landmarkbankla.com, landmarkbankla.com. Don't just have a bank. Have yourself a banker and a relationship with that banker at landmarkbankla.com. Man, I am off this morning. Just not feeling good.
I am too,
Tired
but I
as
figured
shit.
it's because I woke up late this morning.
Son of a bitch. Who is this one? Steve Ganyard. Coming up on 6:15 to Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. All right, it is sports time, so let's dig on in. Any question as to whether or not Matt McMahon was going to be released after this, absolutely horrible season has been answered. Apparently, LSU is going to bring back Matt McMahon, and they should. I was having this conversation yesterday about the buyout in his contract. It would have cost like $8 million to buy him out. So why wouldn't you take that money and buy him a roster that can compete? LSU has spent a lot less on their roster than other teams have in the conference, and it shows. You basically got to double the NIL money that's being put into basketball in order to get where we need to be. Increase that NIL budget. You bring in better players, then you can see what Matt McMahon can actually do, which we saw what he could do before he was hired when he was at Murray State. Tigers are 2-10 in conference play, 15th place in the SEC. McMahon was asked on Monday about the report that he won't be fired after the season. Cut 16, please.
I haven't looked long-term future. I've been just so dialed in to how do we help our players navigate some of these challenging times that we've been in? How do we keep getting better as a team? And how do we find ways to win games? But I've always been incredibly appreciative of the support that I've received here. It's an absolute honor and privilege to get to coach at a place like LSU.
South Carolina and Oklahoma are also near the bottom of the league, and they're the ones that are on the bottom when it comes to NIL dollars as well. If LSU had fired McMahon without cause, that would have 80% of his remaining salary. So, like I said, about $8 million. McMahon is hoping that with this new commitment, hopefully with the new commitment to NIL, better days would be ahead.
We're going to continue to fight every day and keep working to get better. I love the recruiting class we were able to sign in the early period. And we all know the importance of the transfer portal as you look at college athletics here in 2025.
That early signing recruiting class announced in December is ranked as the 6th best in the country. After a come-from-behind win against Oklahoma on Saturday, LSU, they could put together 2 in a row because they're hosting South Carolina tomorrow night. Late start to this one. I believe it's an 8 p.m. tip-off. And South Carolina's bad. So they'll put up a fight at home. They're just bad on the road. Gamecocks are winless in SEC play thus far. I'm sure they have this game circled, though. I'm sure if you're South Carolina, you've circled this game to say, boys, if we're going to get a win, it's going to be here. So got to bring your A game if you're LSU. As the Gamecocks definitely do not want to put that goose egg up for SEC play overall. McMahon says Carolina, by the way, is better than you might think.
Been in 6 games that come down to the final possession in our league. So I think you really ignore the record. They're physical. They're tough. Colin Murray-Broyles is an NBA draft pick at the forward position. Incredible skill set and physicality.
Like I said, tip off 8 p.m. over on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Chris Blair and John Brady will be on the call. It's hard not to look west in the state when you're talking basketball, though, because the last guy to do it here is doing it really well in the Southland Conference right now. Talking, of course, about Will Wade, who everything he did while he was here is 100% legal now. Everything that Will Wade did while he was here, everything that Will Wade was accused of while he was here is not only legal, not only encouraged, but you see the results when you don't do it that way. He's over at McNeese now, posted up a win last night. The Cowboys were in Hammond to take on Southeastern, 88-82, your final score there. McNeese is now 21-6 overall, 15-1 in Southland Conference play, and they just continue to roll. And oh, by the way, Will Wade has increased his social media presence greatly lately. Not just the stuff with the players and everything, but like featuring him. So I can't help but start to think that maybe the resume he's built at McNeese and he wanted to take one more year there before looking around. The social media presence might be him job shopping a little bit. I don't know. We'll see as it plays out, but he's done nothing but good things since getting to McNeese, and they are obviously on top of the Southland Conference. Southeastern, by the way, was no slouch. They were 11-4 going into that game, 11-5 in conference play on the back end of it. Moving from basketball to baseball, LSU will be hosting Southern today. I say today, not tonight. Wait a minute. You know what? I said that LSU game against South Carolina was tomorrow night. It's tonight. tonight at 8 p.m. My apologies, y'all. Sorry about that. LSU plays tonight. Southern plays this afternoon, 2 p.m. first pitch. LSU versus Southern at the box. Another early start. Jay Johnson likes these. If you're looking for a reason to skip out of work early, this would be a good reason to do so because LSU's looking for payback because Southern took it to us last year. Coming up on 6:20, here's the Fox Business Report on Talk 107.3 FM. I'm emailing you 4 cuts for this segment. All right, on the way. All right, starting you off on the interstates as we do, starting you off on I-12 westbound as we do every morning because that's where we see the most volume every morning. 12 westbound can be heavy all the way back by Range Avenue is where you're going to see the volume begin. It lightens up a little bit coming across the Amite River, but picks back up again as you near Airline and then again towards the 10-12 merge. In fact, it's getting pretty heavy by the 10-12 merge. I-10 westbound coming in from Ascension Parish looking great. 10 going through the city's looking wonderful, as is 10 eastbound. Coming in from West Baton Rouge Parish, I-110, no problems there. Surface streets, we got 2 things to look out for, 2 crashes in the roadway. The first one is up in Zachary. Zachary PD working an accident in the roadway. Stony Brook at Old Weiss Road, and then bringing it back into town. North Acadian at Fairfields. There's an accident being worked there as well. So those are your 2 incidents on the surface streets. That's your look at traffic from the Shaw Bills Tire Traffic Center. 624, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Before we dig in on our next topic, I need to do 2 things real quick. First of all, if you're powering through the static listening to us, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. If you can hear me through the static, let me let you know we're available online. We have the Talk 107.3 mobile app. You can download the Talk 107.3 mobile app. In fact, I would recommend doing that anyway because you get the latest news updates and everything with it. But you don't have to deal with the static. Download the app, just plug us into your auxiliary cable and you're good to go. We're also, of course, up on Facebook Live and the Talk 1073 YouTube channel. All this courtesy of the folks over at Lake Urgent Care. We're available to you crystal clear in a number of different locations. As I understand it, I want to say we're running at low power out at our transmitter right now. That's why my drive in, clear as a bell. Talk 107 guys. Listen to the Fox News rundown on the way in this morning, clear as a bell. But I'm getting reports from both sides of the river that we're very, very staticky this morning. So I appreciate you bearing with us. We are powering through as we try to get things fixed, but a lot of this stuff is just out of our hands. Before we dive in on this plane crash up in Toronto, or the crash landing up in Toronto, want to remind you about the folks over at Cajun Soft Wash. Cajun Soft Wash. We're getting close to, I know we're going to have another cold snap, right? We're going to have another cold snap, but after that, we should start looking towards spring cleaning. Spring cleaning is not just inside, it's outside as well. Get a look at the walls of your house, maybe up on the roof as well. They've got soft washing service for residential or commercial here in Louisiana. So business owners, this applies to you as much as it does to homeowners. CajunSoftwash.com, CajunSoftwash.com. When you see that green coming up from the ground that's on your walls, you see that algae on your walls, who knows what's in the nooks and crannies up on your roof. In fact, up on your roof, they'll fly a drone up there and take care of it that way. Yeah, drone cleaning is available, so no spot is unreachable when it comes to Cajun Soft Wash. It just, look, it improves the look of your home. It improves the longevity of your home because that algae, that mold, that ick, and it eats away at the shingles and can eat away at your whatever's on the side of your house as well. So get it cleaned up. Get yourself looking good before spring rolls in at CajunSoftwash.com. All right. Still not a whole lot of detail on this, but it's an amazing story that was coming out of Toronto, Canada. And our news partners at ABC are all over. In fact, news contributor and aviation analyst John Nance was talking about this. Happened at Toronto's main airport. A plane ended up upside down on the runway while landing. It was a Delta regional jet. It came to a stop on a snowy runway. There were 80 people on board. All of them survived the incident. Cut one.
When it came to a halt, everybody is upside down. So there are going to be injuries just getting the seatbelts out and falling to the ceiling and getting out that way.
But what you have here is plane crash and no fatalities. I mean, injuries, okay, fine. I mean, I hate to discount their pain, but it's a plane crash with no fatalities. That's worth something, is it not? I mean, especially when you realize everything that could go wrong with a plane. And we don't know what happened yet. That investigation will be going on today. But something as simple as, where's the fuel? Steve Ganyard, he's ABC News' aviation contributor. He had this to say. Cut two.
Because most of the fuel in this airplane is held in the wings, a source of potential explosion was taken away when the wings were ripped off.
The juxtaposition of that phrasing. It was a good thing that the wings were ripped off. There's something you don't hear every day. Hey, thank God the wings were ripped off. I mean, oh. Now, how did it land upside down? I mean, we of course there's the snow, but that's not necessarily the cause of it. We're going to learn the cause through the investigation because, well, when it comes to snow, I mean, they've seen that before. Cut three.
Normally, that's not a big deal. It's something that pilots deal with all the time. But in this case, with snow on the runway, the aircraft touched down and something happened at that point. There was no Mayday call, so we don't know that there's anything wrong with the airplane up until touchdown.
But here's the thing, though. When everyone survives, ask the pilot. I mean, I know that we have such a microwave turnaround time when it comes to wanting our news immediately. Give him a minute. He might be in the hospital. We don't know. He might be one of the ones injured. We don't know. But if you've got everyone's a survivor, then you've got people you can ask or someone you can ask in the pilot to be sure. That being said, though, let's go back to a different reporter from ABC, this time the transportation reporter, Sam Sweeney. He was on the Start Here podcast and says that investigation, it will be thorough, if not quick.
It is simply too early to tell what may have caused this. It'll likely be a number of factors. It could be a maintenance issue. It could be a weather issue. There was winds over 40 miles per hour. There was snow. There was ice. That is a possibility. And there were also dozens, if not hundreds, of flights canceled or delayed into Toronto's Pearson Airport just yesterday. So they will look at all of that.
I can't help but think back to when we had our blizzard a couple weeks ago when I was trying to get to Washington Mardi Gras. And the number of people who are clamoring in the airport saying, let's go. Well, this is why they shut down airports, right? This is why they cancel flights or delay flights or make sure everything's taken care of. I mean, the one ABC analyst saying that they've dealt with snow before, but man, there's a point. There's a point where you've got to err to the side of caution. 40-mile-an-hour winds, by the way. How about that? I don't like, how do you 40-mile-an-hour winds and snow on the ground?
Insane.
God, we're so lucky everyone's alive.
Yeah.
6:30 at Talk 107.3 FM. News, traffic, weather. We got Jeff Crouere up next. I need like a Red Bull or something. I need something. The coffee's not doing it. Yeah, I'm just not having it this morning. I didn't sleep for shit last night either. I know what it is. I didn't have a weekend last weekend.
Oh, you just
Yeah, I mean, we had
Right.
Saturday. Saturday was nice, but like the wife and I were volunteering at church, and
yeah.
but when I work all day Sunday,
Yeah.
at LSU, not all day, but a good 5 hours.
Oh yeah.
I'm looking for a guest host for next Friday. I've only reached out to one person so far.
Oh, okay. The whole show?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got to bring my daughter to the airport in New Orleans.
Yeah.
She's going on a 2-week trip to France.
Nice, man. Oh, and tomorrow that's gonna be remote.
Yeah.
So we'll just do like we usually do.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, good morning, sir. Looking to have you on here in just a few minutes. All right, thank you.
Paul says, what's the official name of the app? It's just Talk 1073. In your app store. Oh. Yeah, I'm just not here. Son of a gun. All right. Going to reset that cold with some thunderstorms and a front moving through tonight. Here with your full forecast, Tim McCade Cowan. And we got to get on. I can't run long with Jeff this morning because of the Toobin interview. I'll get him out for 47. And then I'll do the BTR spot at 7:05. Coming up on 638 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. In our next segment, we're going to talk with Jeffrey Toobin, author of The Pardon, The Politics of Presidential Mercy. Has the pardon been weaponized, overused, abused? We will talk with Jeffrey Toobin in our next segment. Right now, though, we head down to New Orleans to check in with Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics. How are you this morning?
Hey, good morning, Brian. I would say the answer to that is yes.
Yeah. And both sides can look in the mirror on this one because everyone's done it, and it seems to escalate a little bit more every single time.
And big time under the last president.
Yeah. Yes. Because you have not just pardons for things that were done, but pardons for things that maybe we'll do later. I don't know.
Right. Right.
So we're more than a week removed now from the Super Bowl. And all the report cards continue to come in saying everything was great. Couldn't help but notice that op-ed at NOLA.com coming in from Ron Fauché saying, why can't we have it like this all the time? How much of the conversation in New Orleans has pivoted to why can't we have it like this all the time?
I think that, I know Ron Fauché well. I think that is naive to think that this is going to be something that can be, maintained all the time. And it's just impossible because I think, again, there's so many different factors at play and so many different problems that still exist that are not going away. Problems with juvenile justice, problems with the, court system. And we can go down the list talking about all of them, Brian. But yeah, I think they were able to get things together. They were able to, put on our best face in New Orleans for everyone to see. And, it worked well. I give everyone credit from the governor to the mayor for how it was accomplished. And I think it was amazing that it happened just, 6 weeks after the terrorist attack. So a job well done by all. But, that kind of thing I don't think is something that can be maintained long term because of the deep problems that still exist in New Orleans, and I don't think are going to be fixed anytime soon.
Fauché cites a poll that he did back in December, which rates local government, which rates the city government, 88% rated it negatively. I mean, that's pretty overwhelming, that number.
I mean, that is off the charts negative. Yeah. I mean, that is just unbelievably negative, and black and white citizens as well. I mean, it's universally. I mean, here's the deal. I understand the governor and the mayor worked well and have sort of an interesting relationship where they, are complementary of each other and seem to get things done together, and that's good. Troop NOLA and working in the Super Bowl preparation, but I mean, largely the mayor has checked out for a long time, and there have been serious issues that she hasn't addressed. So, I mean, there's a real need for new leadership in New Orleans. So, I mean, the mayor's race is coming up at a perfect time, and we should know soon as to what kind of race we're going to have, if it's going to be a cakewalk for Helena Moreno, or whether Oliver Thomas or some other maybe unknown strong candidate jumps in.
We're talking with Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics down in New Orleans. Yeah, getting back to Fauché's piece, he says that more than 2/3 of the city's electorate believe the basic structure of city government needs major changes. When he says basic structure, he's talking about more than just the person who's at the head of this. He's talking about more than just the mayor, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's been a dysfunctional system for a long time because, I mean, people don't see, their streets repaired. I mean, they don't feel historically like the NOPD has been able to deal with the criminal justice problems. They don't see, a sewage and water board that is efficient. And, I mean, there are too many boil water alerts that happen on a regular basis. I mean, there are too many construction projects that just seem to take forever. So, I mean, now we're 2 weeks away from today to what, by all accounts, will be a huge Mardi Gras, because the later the Mardi Gras, the bigger the crowd. So we'll see, what kind of issues are addressed and how the city puts on this tremendous show. We're going to have massive security like we did for the Super Bowl, and we're hoping and praying for another successful event that'll just do more to increase New Orleans' appeal to people to come visit. But I mean, these underlying problems need to be solved, like dealing with these repeat criminals, making sure that the people that come here are safe, making sure we have enough police officers, etc.
Talk with Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics. He chats with us every Tuesday morning before his show, which is coming up at 7:00. You brought the sewage and water board. It's amazing that a city that size, that a city with that world-renowned reputation, you get a flood, and we understand geography, we understand topography, but to not be able to pump the water back out without stations lighting on fire, it's a tough spot.
Yeah, and pumps not working, antiquated equipment. I mean, massive payments to people in charge that are questionable. I mean, all kinds of issues you've had. The mayor is the leader, the board is supposedly overseeing all of this and making sure that this is being handled correctly. And it's obviously a challenge with the fact we're below sea level. Okay, but I mean, this has been such a long-standing issue. So, hope springs eternal. Maybe we'll have the next mayor be able to devote more time and attention to it. It's always something that doesn't get enough attention because you're always putting out fires with other problems, such as the public safety issue, which is always at the forefront. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how we deal with all these issues coming up, because that's the key. The next leadership team for New Orleans, because that needs to happen, and we just need to get through the end of this administration and get to the next one as soon as possible. Can't get here soon enough, Brian.
No, it can't. And the mayoral conversation is going to be one we're going to be having all year long, Jeff, because it's pivotal. And the new mayor's not going to have a honeymoon at all because, well, quite frankly, like you said, LaToya's been clocked out for some time now. And the more the mayor's clocked out, the more these problems just stack up. Not to say she was doing anything about the problems before she clocked out, but they do continue to stack up. In the meanwhile, since we've only got about a minute and a half left here, Jeff, I want to pivot over to Mardi Gras. 2 weeks to go. What are things looking like right now?
Looking good. I mean, people are excited. I mean, there's, already been some of the, Crew de Vue and some of the early festivities that always happen. And, people are, there's a lot of optimism about it after the Super Bowl. I mean, I think there's going to be a tremendous crowd here. So, yeah, I think we're looking good as far as hotel rooms. Looks like we're going to have a really, really good Mardi Gras. And that always happens when we have the Super Bowl here because it's a great way to publicize the city. And, one of the suggestions that was made, Steve Scalise made it to the commissioner, was that, the NFL try to have the Super Bowl here every few years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen, but I think that was a great suggestion. It would be awesome if that did. It just works so well as far as, people being able to see everything quickly and everything's so convenient. And I just think people love that it's walkable and accessible.
Yep, and the huge commercial for New Orleans that was the Super Bowl will continue to pay dividends throughout the year. In the meanwhile, you got a show to get to. We always appreciate you hopping on board.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Take
We'll
care.
talk to you next week. He is Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics. We'll talk to him next week, but not the week after because that'll be Mardi Gras Day. All right, quick break. Coming back with Jeffrey Toobin next. What? Goodwood with the up and down sound bites? Whoop, whoop. Hey, we're going to have DC Current opens probably as soon as tomorrow. Let me let Matt. No, not tomorrow because we're on location tomorrow. As soon as next Tuesday. It's going to have an open with voice guy.
Oh, it's going to have an open. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Right on. Makes sense.
So I need to find. There's a couple sound bites I know I want to find. Just talking about Congress and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to use the one from the Washington Mardi Gras Open where it's Bradley Whitford in the West Wing saying, "I'm so sick of Congress, I could vomit." That would burn quickly if it was every week.
Yeah.
Trying to think of what movies or TV shows I would want to tap in with that, though.
Yeah. I'm sure they're out there.
Do what?
I'm sure they are. Though.
Yeah, no. I know there's plenty. It's just not in my head right now because I'm not sick. Son of a bitch. Tired of saying got it to my computer. All right, guys, when we come back in from Your Money Now, it's going to be the Jeffrey Toobin interview. So it's pre-recorded. So I'm going to disappear for a little bit. I'm going to run upstairs and grab something off the printer. Not that you need to know all that. But also in the hopes of just moving around might shake my ass loose a little bit. I hate feeling like this. I feel like I'm not doing all right. Like, oh, Nelly. Oh. I did go pretty hard at the gym yesterday. That might be it. I just might be physically fatigued.
Oh, well then, yeah. And then that on top of like maybe no sleep. Oh man,
Yeah, it was a weird night.
it's rough.
All right, time to dig in on another great book. This time we're talking about The Pardon, The Politics of Presidential Mercy. Joining us now, rejoining us now. He's been on the show before. We got Jeffrey Toobin. How are you, man?
I'm great. How you doing?
Doing very well as well. All right, The Pardon, The Politics of Presidential Mercy. This is kind of a walk back through, I would say roughly the last 50 years or so. I'm rounding up maybe, but tell us about The Pardon.
Well, the great thing about The Pardon as a subject is that it is, in some respects, it's a story that goes back to the founding of our country and the birth of the Constitution, and the fact that the pardon is an anomaly in our Constitution. It's not a power subject to check or balance. It is a absolute power of the president. And there were not many controversial pardons before 1974, when President Ford pardoned President Nixon. Mm-hmm. But the story goes right up to today's news, because I'm sure I don't have to tell your audience whether it was Donald Trump's first term pardons, people like pardoning his daughter's son-in-law, mm-hmm. Father-in-law, Charles Kushner. And then, of course, Joe Biden's controversial pardons at the end of his term, including of his son, Hunter. And now, in President Trump's second term, pardoning the 1,500 January 6 rioters, including violent criminals, and pardons he continues to issue day by day in the first weeks of his second term. So it's an old story, but it's a very contemporary story.
Yeah, and I was because I know the book takes a pretty serious focus on the pardoning of Richard Nixon, so that's where I chose to pick it up. Talking with Jeffrey Toobin about The Pardon, The Politics of Presidential Mercy. All right, let's talk motivation here. What made you want to walk this path and write this book?
Well, I knew that President Trump in the 2024 campaign had been talking about pardoning the January 6 people for a long time, for a year, even longer. And that was, and so I knew it would come to a head if he won the election. Mm-hmm. Kamala Harris was starting to get pressure that if she won, she was going to face pressure to pardon Trump in the same way that Ford pardoned Nixon, to sort of let the country move on from political controversy. So I knew that come the beginning of 2025, pardons would be top of mind for a lot of people. What I didn't know is that Joe Biden was going to engage in quite a series of controversial pardons as well. Suddenly it seems like pardons are everywhere.
So does it work though? Does it help to heal wounds and help us move on as a country, or does it dig us further into our trenches of political ideology?
This is a great question. Should the power exist at all? And my answer is yes. I still think it is good to have that safety valve. There are 150,000 people in federal prison in the United States. Not all of them should be there, and it's good that presidents have the option of ameliorating those injustices. I thought Barack Obama did a good thing at the end of his term when he commuted the sentences of 1,500 low-level drug offenders who went through a process of examination. The problem is when pardons are used in a transactional way, to reward friends, to punish enemies, to reward relatives, and that I think is unfortunately what we saw with both Biden and Trump. And I think it's an unfortunate use of the power, but I don't think the power should be thrown out altogether.
We're talking with Jeffrey Toobin, author of The Pardon. One of the pardons that Joe Biden made was talking about the Anthony Fauci and any crimes that may have been committed. How does that change the game to not having a crime that was committed?
Well, that really started with the Ford pardon of Nixon. Nixon had not been charged with a crime at that point,
yeah.
So it was an open-ended preemptive pardon. Joe Biden's pardon of Hunter Biden was not just for a pardon for the crimes that he'd been convicted of, but also for any other crimes he might have committed. So the open-ended pardons, I think, are especially troubling because they you can't know what every crime someone might have committed. I think pardons that are targeted to cases that have already been brought are a better use of the power. But this is again an example of how broad the pardon power is, which is that it can be done in this open-ended preemptive way.
Jeffrey, you got me stuck on a phrase you used a minute ago, that transactional pardon. How do we get the horse back in the barn on that one?
You don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as simple as that.
Sad but true.
I think it's basically a good thing that the Constitution is difficult to amend, but so that the only way you could get rid of the pardon power is to amend the Constitution, and that simply just doesn't. It just almost never happens, and there's no pressure to do it here.
Mm-hmm.
So my answer is don't get a better Constitution, get better president.
From your mouth to God's ears. We got Jeffrey Toobin on with us for just another minute or two. What's next for you? I mean, you've been at this, putting pen to paper a good bit. What comes after the pardon?
Well, for those of us who work in legal analysis, Donald Trump is the gift that keeps on giving. I mean, we are studying Trump's moves. I don't know if I'm going to wind up writing a book about it, but I'm certainly covering it at the New York Times and for CNN. But I don't have a next book in the works, but I'm sure I will before too long.
He is CNN legal commentator and, yes, columnist for the New York Times and author of The Pardon, The Politics of Presidential Mercy. Jeffrey Toobin, I appreciate a couple minutes this morning. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you, my friend.
down for it.
What happened to ABC News?
It's still there. When I put my mic on for
Oh,
social
yeah,
media,
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
why I
Yep,
keep
yep,
one.
yep.
Yeah, that's why I just keep one in. That way I
Okay.
can hear what's going on. But yeah, usually when my mic's on, it just for some reason it doesn't.
Morgan should be calling in any second now.
Okay.
Said chirp.
Sure.
It's very, very faint. You don't hear it? There it went. There. There. Oh, all right.
Unless it's like a frequency I can't hear. You ever saw that? Like at a certain age, certain people can hear certain frequencies.
Yep.
There she is. Studio. Hi, yes, ma'am. Yeah, we'll have you on here in just a few short minutes. All right, thank you.
There it is. All right. Yeah, we'll it'll probably split the difference. .705 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. One, two, 1, 2.
Can you hear me?
I hear you just fine. I don't hear me at all. How about now? There
Yeah,
we go.
There you are.
Man.
There
All
we are.
right.
All
Good
right.
night. I don't know how did something get unplugged in the top of the hour news break? That's
I
odd.
have no idea.
All right, nonetheless, it's 7:05 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, starting off at 44 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Hour 2 of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Brian here with you, John LaBeouf producing, and we're diving right in. We got a busy hour this hour. State Representative Dixon McMakin in our next segment. Chris Meyer from the Baton Rouge Area Foundation at 7:35, and we're blowing right past top stories and trending to welcome in Morgan Almeida from the Baton Rouge Area Chamber. Morgan, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Brian?
Doing well now that I have a voice again, doing very well. So we're live and on air. It's important to have a microphone. I want to start with 1 week from today. 1 week from today is February 25th. Looking at that on the, numerically, that would be 225. What are we doing here to maximize that?
Yeah, so 225 Day, we're super excited. We're kind of coining it as an unofficial celebration day in Baton Rouge. We have so much to celebrate in Baton Rouge. Positive things happening in the community, just your everyday happies of going into work and getting to work with amazing people. And so we want to celebrate those things, everything that makes it better in Baton Rouge. And what better to do that than 225 Day?
What you said, making it better in Baton Rouge. Of course, the Better in BTR campaign is off and running. I've got the T-shirt and everything. What is Better in BTR and how's it rolling?
Yeah, so we launched the Better in Baton Rouge marketing campaign in April of this year. When it started, it was really focused as a talent attraction campaign. So how are we bringing more young professionals into the area? But recently, we've kind of kicked off a phase 2, just starting 2 weeks ago on February 5th, actually. This new phase began, and it's much more focused on talent retention and local positive perceptions. And the reason we made this slight shift was because we have so many college students right here in our backyard. It just made sense to kind of focus on that untapped audience in a sense, showing them how they can really build their careers and build a life in Baton Rouge. So really the whole campaign is just highlighting not only the amazing things that already exist here and the jobs that exist here, but the new projects that are upcoming. For example, like Plan Baton Rouge 3 downtown, River Center enhancements, and what all of these upgrades happening throughout our community are going to mean for future life here in Baton Rouge.
We're talking with Morgan Almeida from the Baton Rouge Area Chamber about 225 Day coming up 1 week from today. Morgan, I got to ask, why is it unofficial? I mean, can't we move this thing over, like get the mayor to sign off on this?
We should look into that, shouldn't we, Brian? It's just a really fun day, and we're hoping that we can get more businesses involved. So we wanted every business to kind of approach it their own way. What makes authentic sense to their brand? You know, we've talked about with some businesses where they might color drench their building in red all day for, of course, Red Stick to kind of celebrate. We have another business I know is just getting cute 225 Day cookies made for all of their employees or customers as they come throughout the day. We're even working with some volunteer organizations to figure out how they can highlight their volunteers as a special kind of thanks on 225 Day for everything they do for Baton Rouge. Mm-hmm. So really the possibilities are limitless on what you can do.
We got Morgan Almeida from the Baton Rouge Area Chamber for just a couple more minutes here. I want to go back to the Better in BTR and the talent retention and mm-hmm. recruiting into this because this is something that we're seeing. It's a very focused effort. It's a very the magic word I've been using has been nurturing. What we're seeing right now is everywhere we nurture, we're seeing things grow. Whether mm-hmm. you're talking about a Better in BTR campaign, whether you're talking about all the efforts down in New Orleans to make the Super Bowl a success, anywhere we turn our focus, it seems like we're seeing the fruits of our labor. How can we turn just, talent retention into new jobs?
I love this question. So I agree. When we turn our focus somewhere, that's really where we see the impact.
Mhm.
And this campaign was started by the Baton Rouge Area Chamber and Visit Baton Rouge as a joint partnership. And really, our goal is to grow it. It can't just be our two organizations that are focused on this.
Right.
By building the business community support around it, it will help all ships rise, I guess, if we had to put a statement on it. And of course, we want businesses to have the employees they need to have successful businesses here. And that's ultimately why the campaign started for us. But the cool thing about this phase 2 of Better in BTR is that we've created it to be open source. So the new branding, the logo format, all of this can be adjusted by businesses. So they can put it in their brand colors. They can use it on their advertisements. We have fun little iterations where it's like blank is better in BTR. So imagine like an arts market. They could say arts markets are better in BTR. Blues is better in BTR. The bowling congress is coming in a week or so, right? So
Yeah.
it could be bowling is better in BTR. Again, the options are limitless. And I think by all of our local businesses focusing on this, it's really going to help build positive perceptions and help those young professionals see what opportunities are here for their career and for their life.
What opportunities are here? Where can folks go if they want to learn more?
So, I mean, we have so many thriving industries in Baton Rouge. Of course, the energy industry is the biggest right now. We are seeing so much growth in that area. We have 2 amazing land grant universities in Baton Rouge that's producing top talent in all fields, and we just need to be able to keep them here.
She is Morgan Almeida from the Baton Rouge Area Chamber. 1 week from today will be 225 Day, a day to celebrate the Red Stick and the surrounding area because it is the Baton Rouge Area Chamber. So we'll get the full area code in there. Morgan, I appreciate a couple minutes this morning.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate talking to you.
Thank you. 712 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. While we're talking about Better in BTR, let me talk about BTR, the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. Look, if you've got business in our nation's capital, there's a direct flight leaving, like literally right now. There's a direct flight daily from the Baton Rouge Metro Airport to Reagan National in Washington, D.C. Comes back in the evening. You can get your business done same day turnaround time. Fly out in the morning, fly back in the evening. Now, if you want to stay over, sure, fine. Why not? It is Washington, D.C., and it's gorgeous. But if you want to get back home to the family, that's there for you as well. FlyBTR2DC.com. FlyBTR2DC.com. It's available right now. And oh, by the way, if you're putting together your family vacation, maybe give BTR a look as well. FlyBTR.com for that. Quick break. Dixon McMakin is next. It frustrates me. That's a big old stack of papers, Dixon. No. Oh, because I probably don't follow that account. No, that's Rep Gear, Chris. Nice.
Wrapping bacon.
Oh wait, did it?
That's what he said.
Oh
yeah.
goodness
Yeah.
gracious! I skipped right past. Dude, I'm off my game today. I need to be sleeping. 7:15 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. So big press conference yesterday, as it's looking like the Washington Street exit's going to close down. The guy behind that would be State Representative Dixon McMakin, who joins us now. How are you?
Good morning. Great to be here, Brian.
Real glad to have you on this morning. Walk me through why we're closing the Washington Street exit.
Well, I think everyone can agree it's the worst exit in America. Some people have called the interstate area around there the Devil's Triangle. And when you call something the Devil's Triangle,
Don't Google that.
you know it's pretty bad. Yeah, don't Google that, but it is called that. And so we're starting the process of taking down the devil. That's what I've been telling people about this. So last session, we did a joint resolution, the House and the Senate. No opposition in the House, unanimous in the Senate, had the support. Want to thank Chairman Connick in the Senate, Chairman Boriak in the House, the transportation chairs, for helping me through that process. But Secretary Donahue at DOTD needed something to direct him to go do that. So all these people that have talked all these years, they're going to shut it down and close it down until you do this 86-page report that I have here that the folks watching at home see, an IMR report. It ain't happening. So Joe Donahue, DOTD, through our resolution, finally did it. And now the FHWA has it, and we're going to wait for them. They're shutting it down.
Didn't the ball get started rolling on this years ago, though?
Yeah, so Terrace Street exit was opened in 2019. We spent $9.3 million to open that exit up.
Yeah.
So people could no longer have to use Washington Street.
Right.
And at the time, it was, let's open that one on the left so you no longer need the one to the right.
Right.
But they never did the report.
I'm just procedurally, why is the report needed?
The report's needed because it has to come from the state to the FHWA to tell them that we want this exit closed from a local level. So the FHWA just doesn't go around closing things down if they don't have the support of the locals and the legislature.
Mhm.
And so now we have that, and we're ready to shut it down.
Timeline-wise, what's this look like? How's it play out?
Yeah, so right now we've submitted the report. Now, if you saw in the news, WBRZ did a story about it. They're canvassing the area right now. We already have previous canvasses from the I-10 widening projects. We lucked out that we've already done some canvassing. So we have until February 23rd to get those responses.
Mhm.
Then we have 30 days to submit all the responses. You have to put everything out there to the FHWA, and then it's in their process to allow us to do it. So yesterday, I said it. I told Joe Donahue, sorry, I'm going to say it. By Christmas time, I want this exit shut down. I really think it'll be before that because we have great federal partners. We have great leadership at the federal level that use this exit and know how crappy it is. And so I think before that, we're going to see it shut down.
And the exit itself. You know what? Why is it the worst exit? I think that's the important part, is to explain why it's the worst exit and the problems that it causes.
Okay, so let's just get one rumor out there that's not true. It is not the only place in America where I-10 goes to one lane.
Right.
I-10 also goes to one lane in San Antonio, Texas. But in San Antonio, you have almost half a mile to a mile of it being one lane that you merge. It's in San Antonio. You got to trust me. Look it up. You can Google it later. But for this exit, how sharp of a turn it makes, how quick of a turn it makes. You have the people that are trying to merge onto I-10 right there. It does go to one lane technically. You have I-110 people that are trying to get over, crossing potentially 3 lanes of traffic. And then also at Laurie Burgess Avenue at Braddock Street, the report talks about how many wrecks we have at the local level on the front street down there, because you have the interstate meeting with another side street, meeting with a cross street right there, and the wrecks you have down there. So 3 potential things that we're going to shut down. And what we're going to do when we shut it down, we're going to add almost a football field of length to you coming off the Horace Wilkinson Bridge. And also something I call traffic confusion. I did 3 resolutions last year for kind of traffic confusion measures. This is one of them. Essen has 2 as well. And so people that know if you're in that right lane, are you getting off or are you merging? They don't know.
Right.
They don't know. Now when we shut it down, you know that car to the right, you know he's coming over because he's got nowhere else to go. So we think that's going to increase the flow there, allow for a true zipper merge, and it's going to help everyone that's coming from California to Florida using I-10 right here, the bottleneck. Hopefully no more.
And to me, and I didn't even think about what was going on ground level. I was thinking about those who are on 110 and want to get off there.
Yep.
I mean, they have Terrace now, so that makes it easier. But for those who still, swing across all the lanes, wishing everybody else the best of luck, you've got that driver from California who's going to be in the right lane and has no idea that's what's coming at him from the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see that all the time. Secretary Donahue, we were laughing. He actually saw a car do it. And he called me. He goes, I just saw one do it. That's unbelievable that they actually they do that. I was like, I told you they do it. So when you have that, and because of the length of distance it is, that's one of the reasons they're doing the college flyover project right now. Same idea. Having cars go 5 lanes over to get over is dangerous for that car and for all the cars they got to get across.
Okay, we got State Representative Dixon McMakin in with us talking about closing the Washington Street exit. Want to ask this question. Why now when there is an I-10 expansion project that's going to be underway?
Yeah, so the idea is let's do it now. Let's get it out of the way to train people to know that Washington Street is shutting down. And I would also say, why wait? We've had 2019, Terrace Street has been open. We know this has been needed. So I go and I read all the comments of the post on Facebook. I don't, respond to them all. And it's amazing to read about, why, finally, what are we doing? What are we waiting on? I've been telling people, I think I've been complaining about this exit since 3rd grade when Jay Darden was my basketball coach and a state senator. And I remember complaining to him, my aunt lives in Lafayette. We came back home and I couldn't believe the traffic right there. So, I've been complaining that long. And I know people that live on the west side of Baton Rouge have been doing that as well. So I think the question is, why would you not want to get it done when you have the opportunity and you have the research and you have the support of the legislature and the administration to finally get it done?
You got 86 pages right there telling you what it's going to look like to get this done. By Christmas is your self-imposed deadline on this. Is this just a matter of putting up cement barriers or I mean, do we have to physically dismantle the off-ramp or all of it?
Yeah, so it physically is not going to come down until the I-10 widening project does happen.
Right.
So right now we're just going to be shutting it down. So it is barriers at the top, barriers at the bottom, removing the signage that tells you that the exit is there, putting up new signs that tell you the lane does end, the right lane ends. So hopefully people are aware of that. And then also restriping the right side over there, which is going to add that footage that you need so people know they have more time to merge when they come off the bridge.
Wait, will we still have 1 lane or will it stay 2?
So, I mean, if you think about it, I would say, yes, it's still 1 lane because I-110 and I-10, technically they meet and it does become I-10 once I-110 ends. Meh.
Yeah, but I mean, that's only the space of the merge at that point. You've got 2 all the way down, don't you?
No. So when you get to the bridge over the LSU Lakes, it's 3 lanes there.
Yeah.
So you have to think about it. 2
I'm
come
talking
from
about coming off the bridge, coming down.
Yeah.
You got 2 coming down there, and you'd add back in from 110.
Yes. They would argue that 10 technically has 2 lanes, but I think the argument is false. Okay. But when we do the I-10 expansion, we're going to expand that. That's a continued project we're still going to have to work on. So, yeah, 1 lane, I would say technically it's still 1 lane. Yes. They would argue, if you look at the map, no, but here or there. Washington Street's coming down, Brian. Focus on the good, negative Nancy.
Well, look, you're the only 3rd grader in the world that looked at traffic. So,
man, don't tell. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you kidding me?
3rd grade, Dixon. Come on.
Hey, I think people know that's part of how my brain works. The other things we're going to do. So when you come over Essen on I-10, you're heading towards the College Drive flyover. We're going to hopefully add another lane to the right. So people that are taking the I-12 loop, they also can merge and not have to be part of the traffic congestion right there. And then Essen at Perkins by the Gaddies, we're going to make those all 2-lane turns so we can increase the flow over there as well. That was my 3 package of transportation, and be looking for this session 3 to 4 more coming.
Okay, I want to ask you about that because there's been a lot of background talk that transportation is going to get some priority in this upcoming session. It's a fiscal session, yes, but everybody gets 5 bills that aren't. Is transportation going to be given the love it needs?
Yeah, I think so. One thing we saw in the first session throughout that whole first year, Speaker DeVilliers, President Cameron Henry, they are committed to our roads and bridges in the state. We moved some money to help with our transportation projects in the last session. And I think what you're going to see in this fiscal session is if we can find any other resources to add to that project list, we're going to do it. So, yeah, under their leadership, under Governor Landry's leadership, under Secretary Joe Donahue, I mean, he is committed as well. A Baton Rouge guy that lives here, he drives it every day as well. And so I think you're going to see that commitment. Like I said, Rep. Boriak, Senator Connick that run our transportation committees, had many talks with them, many discussions. I don't think you've ever seen, now I'm just a rookie, Rep. I know I'm in my year 2. But I don't think you've ever seen a cohesive group together that realize our traffic problems affect our economic development, affect everything that you want to do to make our state open for business. If we can get cars, commerce moving in and out of our state, we can help with all of it.
Why? And we so often on this show, especially, we'll talk with locally about move EBR project or whatever, and they always run into problems with what's local and what's state. So yeah, seeing state pick up where state needs to pick up, it was much needed attention.
Yeah, when you see the map of what roads actually the state controls, federal roads, city roads, they do the road sharing program. So a lot of times it is hey, who's in charge? Who has that problem? I mean, look at just another example. Look at the lights under the overpass on Perkins I had to deal with over the last couple months. There were some lights down, reached out to the city, reached out to the state, reached out to energy, and everyone kind of gives you that, well, I don't know, I'm a big baby. No, get to work. And that's how I feel, Brian. I didn't get elected to sit around, twiddle my thumbs. You know that about me. I got in there to get stuff done for our city and our state, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
While we got you here, we got about a couple minutes left with State Representative Dixon McMakin. I want to walk the timeline on those individual pieces of the Washington Street. But what else is going to be a priority this coming session? Obviously fiscal, but outside of that.
Yeah, so I think just get ready. I mean, April 14th. So right now we're going through the process, meeting with our other colleagues. One thing you don't want to do is file a bill that someone else has filed as well.
Sure.
So we're going through those meetings right now.
Especially in a fiscal session when you're limited.
You only get 5.
Right.
You only get 5. You get unlimited local bills, unlimited fiscal bills, and unlimited resolutions, but you only get 5 general purpose bills.
Yeah.
So right now, meeting with stakeholders, meeting with state officials. Hey, I've been talking with the governor's office, talking with the AG's office, Secretary of State. Do y'all have any priorities? Because we know that they need us to file their bills for them as well. So looking into that. But yeah, we talked about some things that I don't want to give away, but maybe there are some local issues you've been seeing right now. Maybe the library board. What we got there?
I was just my next question was how much of what's going to come in the legislative session is contingent upon Amendment 2 passing in March?
Yeah, so I think Amendment 2 is going to pass. Of course, you saw, I think yesterday there was a lawsuit filed by a New Orleans attorney that says the ballot language is off. I reached out to the Secretary of State's office. Hey, what can I do to help? Because I think we followed all the rules. You followed everything. If you have a big bill, you can't put everything on the ballot.
Right.
And I think the judicial system is going to recognize the legislature has the power to put what's on the ballot as long as it makes sense. People need to still go do their research. We can't put everything on the ballot. Right. So I think it'll pass. But yeah, once we know there are some items in there that we need to tighten up. But we did a lot of great work, bold, positive change. Speaker de Villiers said it. This is his 9th year. He was amazed at what we were able to pass. He didn't think we'd ever get to that point, and we did. So I'm really excited for that. We're going to tighten it up, make it better, make it stronger for the people of Louisiana. But it was a great sign. We dropped in the rankings, as we saw. Still have some work to do, of course.
Well, yeah.
And we're going to keep going through that process to get us lower.
Before we get you out of here, let's go back to Washington Street and the closure and whatnot. Walk me through, when can we start to expect signage to come down, striping to happen, barriers to go up?
Yeah, so we got the 23rd, then we have the 30-day period, and then we are waiting for the FHWA. I will say my birthday is August 15th. I've told a few people I would love to have my birthday on a shutdown exit. So I'm going to stay on them. That's why yesterday, Secretary Donahue didn't say a date. I came out with the date. I said, by Christmas, I want this shut down. I'm going to stay on our local FHWA partners. I'm going to stay in communication with our congressional leadership to stay on them as well. And then also people in the Trump administration. I know a few people that work with Donald Trump every single day, also to put that on their radar as well.
He is State Representative Dixon McMakin. You're on the clock now, man. I mean, it's out there. It's vocal. The countdown is on.
If you take more than 10 months to shut down an exit, we got something really wrong in America.
Well, I mean, it's already been 5 years since Terrace opened. So
86 pages, Brian. We did it. We got it submitted. It's submitted. Let's roll.
The fact that we need 86 pages to put up a couple of concrete barriers and save lives along the way is just ridiculous.
Agree.
Got ABC News coming up in exactly 1 minute. Got to remind you about the folks over at Vex European. Check them out online at vexeuropean.com. V as in Vinny. Vex European celebrating their 10th anniversary. In fact, I need to swing by there very, very soon because I got an oil change coming up. Yes, something as simple as an oil change. Something as major as whatever repair you might need. Vinny and his team specialize in European vehicles, and they'll get even more specific than that. If you drive a Mercedes, they've got a Mercedes tech for you. If you drive a BMW, they've got a BMW tech for you. Get a little bit of Vexpertise. Start at vexeuropean.com. They're in Industrialplex, on the backside of Industrialplex on Benefit Drive. But if you go to Vex European, hit that little vehicle tab, the drop-down menu right there, you'll find your make of vehicle. Fill out the little form, set up your appointment, let them take care of it from there. Been doing this for 10 years now. Vinny and his team over at Vex European. Here's news.
Go Bears.
I believe it's y'all and us in both soccer and lacrosse.
For you.
That's for yeah. I'm gonna read this. We didn't get into opposition on this. There was none. Not even like a local cranky pants.
In that survey they're doing.
Kill the mics for a second. this year.
It's different this year.
I mean, I know I feel like dog shit today. I feel like I got run over by a bus. An empty cat's bus. But no.
Energy is different this
The
year.
energy is different. There's positivity.
Well, and there's action. Like
You already hit the weather?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, we're back already.
I'm just so off my game. From the chamber to the state legislature to the Baton Rouge Area Foundation. We keep it moving right here on Talk 107.3 FM. And don't forget, we go back to the state legislature next hour. State Representative Emily Chenevert going to join us at 8:15. Congressman Troy Carter hopping on board for a little DC Current presented by LABI at 8:35. That's what we got coming next hour. Right now, though, Baton Rouge Area Foundation is in the house. We got Chris Meyer with us. How are you, man?
Hey, I'm great, Brian. How are you?
Doing well. I appreciate you, carving out some time this morning because it's going to be a busy morning.
Busy morning. We're excited to talk about, instead of tearing things down, talking about building new things. How do we invest in our downtown?
Okay, let's talk about it. This is going to be a big announcement coming up, I believe, right at 9:00. Correct?
That's right. So this morning we are announcing officially the kickoff of Plan Baton Rouge 3. This is the third iteration of our downtown master planning efforts, started over 20 years ago. And what's really exciting about this morning is this will kick off the next 9 months of really intense community engagement, conversations, visioning, and ultimately leading to a new plan for how we invest in our downtown and the corridors that are connected to it.
Okay. Now, we've got a whole lot to discuss within that, all right? Because when you say the corridors that are connected to it, obviously you're talking about that Nicholson Drive corridor is one. Moving Baton Rouge, downtown Baton Rouge to where it opens up to the north as well.
That's right.
Needs to be a big player in this. But when it comes to downtown, it's so much more than just those first 3 blocks.
That's right.
What are we doing when it comes to Plan Baton Rouge 3 and everything from 4th Street to 110?
Yeah, let's start maybe just taking a step back for a second. I think what's really exciting about this is the first Plan Baton Rouge, 1998. When you look across the skyline now of Baton Rouge, all of that is a result of coordinated, focused vision for what could be true in downtown Baton Rouge. Over the last 20 years, we've seen over $3 billion of private investment, following nearly $1 billion of public investment on things like the Capitol Park, which brought all of our state government offices and workers downtown. You then see kind of public investment and private investment combining with like the Shaw Center for the Arts. You've seen a massive growth in residents downtown, and we're not finished. And you've seen now, especially post-pandemic, a new return of kind of office workers, new investment in office spaces. So all of that was possible because over the last 2 plans, community leaders, organizations got together and didn't just put a nice plan on a shelf, they activated it. And that's really what Plan Baton Rouge 3 will be. So to your point, how do we start to look further east and some of the blocks that haven't gotten the same attention? How do we get to the river in creating access to the river, a community park, a place that families can come and play? We don't have a swing set downtown. So let's get to a place where on this plan, we are building from the past and we are activating it for not just revelers and convention and tourists, but also residents and families from across our region, so everyone can see that this is their downtown.
We'll stop at Toys R Us on the way home and grab yourself a metal swing set.
Listen, downtown should be for everyone, and I think what we see across the country, and we're so excited this morning to announce the firm that will be working with us over the next 9 months. They have amazing experience in activating other places that don't have nearly the natural assets and momentum that we have in Baton Rouge. And so that's why I'm super excited. Building on your earlier guest conversations, we have a lot of things that we can stitch together in this plan.
Oh, yeah.
And really take us to the next level as a community.
Well, we've seen the fruits of our labors. And my magic word for 2025, if this were Pee-wee's Playhouse, everybody would, it is nurture. And what we nurture, we see grow.
That's right.
And we see the results of that everywhere from, I was talking with Morgan Almeida from the chamber earlier. The biggest example that we've had statewide was the Super Bowl. Every effort that they put into New Orleans, we saw it play out in real time. When you pay attention to something, you show something some love, you give it some care, you water it, it's going to grow. And now we can transfer that energy that level of focus into our downtown and the surrounding area.
That's right. That's right. And that's, what's exciting about Plan Baton Rouge 3 is that it's not owned by any one organization. It really belongs to everyone. And importantly, this morning when Mayor Coach Sid Edwards helps announce the plan, we have every other mayor from our parish there in attendance this morning. We are hopeful. We invited regional parish presidents and others to be a part of this because, again, we want everyone to see that this belongs to them, and we really can create something that's attractive to residents in our region, but also to outsiders that want to come through here. And so the investments we're going to make, the coordinated sort of concerted effort on these, really, we believe will unlock the next 20 years of downtown growth and opportunity.
9 months worth of planning that's going to go into this. What does that mean implementation wise? I know you can't predict them, construction dates when we don't know what the plan is yet, but I mean, this is, when you start talking long term, as a resident, I want to start to see movement now.
That's right. Yeah. So I think first part of this is that we want your voice. Everyone listening, there will be really intense outreach and engagement opportunities. We'll kick those off in earnest in April. So we'll have both formal opportunities and spaces where the public can come and convene, can give us their ideas, respond to feedback, things they want to see, not just on physical assets, but new housing, new restaurants, kind of themes that you want to see that are important to downtown. But then we're going to have pop-up events throughout the year where we bring back ideas and plans. Ultimately, this plan will focus on at least 5 areas plus the riverfront. So 5 kind of catalytic sites that we want to develop and put real resources, attention, so we can start, to your point, actually delivering on those projects in the near term. We'll also be taking advantage of many of the other great ideas you've heard about, from LSU to Memorial Stadium. There are a lot of development opportunities in the works, and this plan will connect to those to make sure that they become activated as fast as possible.
So when I ask about that 9-month period right there, my follow-up is, do we start to, so things like when you have that LSU all the way to Memorial Stadium, we know where a lot of that's headed. Do we need to wait 9 months before acting on that, or does it fold in? Construction can begin on this while we're still planning other parts of it.
That's right. That's right. You should expect this year the dominoes to start to fall. That organizations that are focused on their own projects, like a Memorial Stadium, like an LSU, these things will begin to be announced. This plan is going to take account of all those. It already has. I mean, we've been working over the last year with community organizations to make sure that we are coordinated and complementing one another, not creating kind of competitive assets. And that really led us to this point where, now that we understand what all of these kind of great catalytic investments can look like, our job in this plan collectively as a community to make sure that we maximize those. And then we sort of spread from there. We springboard to more housing downtown. I was told the stat, we've looked at kind of downtown residential opportunities, and the consultant that'll be announced this morning said you could 3x the number of residents you have downtown.
You cannot.
Oh, that's what they say. That's what they say. So again, this is one of those opportunities that we're going to get in, we're going to understand, and we're going to focus on how can we activate downtown so it creates more livability, more attractions, so it's used year-round, day-round by all of us in Baton Rouge.
I mean, basically for the next 9 months, every morning is going to be Christmas morning for Whitney Hoffman sale.
It should be.
I mean, this is the way you're spelling this out. We got Chris Meyer from the Baton Rouge Area Foundation with us talking about Plan BR3 or Plan Baton Rouge 3, which, like he said, coming up at 9 o'clock this morning. Mayor President Sid Edwards, Carolyn Coleman, and a number of others will be at this press conference, which is going to be at the Shaw Center.
Center, which was one of the highlights of the original Plan Baton Rouge, celebrating its 20th year. An amazing public-private partnership that would not have happened.
Yeah. Well,
it's like we're coordinated this morning.
A little bit. Because these are the topics I like, Chris.
Yeah.
This is what I love, dreaming about what we can be and then taking it there. Because it's one thing to have a whole new round of plans. It's another thing to implement them.
That's right.
And that's when, after this press conference, y'all are going to be on the clock. The mayor's going to be on the clock. Whitney's going to be on the clock. Everybody is going to be looking towards, let's get this hammered out. Let's go from a dream to a reality.
That's right. And this is where, again, I think the momentum we are feeling in Baton Rouge, the positivity we are feeling in Baton Rouge, we don't have to look that far in our past to realize we planned, we implemented, and we made positive change. Yep. Now we've got to go to the next level, but that only happens with everyone getting involved and figuring out where they can contribute, whether that's an idea, that's a resource, that's a public-private partnership. One of the most exciting things about this is we've had for the last 6 months, the developers who are working in and around downtown who've been part of that growth over the last 15, 20 years. We've been engaging them. They've put both skin in the game to help develop this plan, but they've also begun talking about, all right, we think this block, this parking lot, these are opportunities to activate. So again, our hope is you will see people that are ready and willing as soon as this plan is finalized. We're not waiting till the end to begin planning these things, but once the plan is finalized, our hope is you'll see even more developments announced coming out of the gates.
Okay, I want to spend the last couple of minutes talking about the riverfront.
Cool.
Because this is going to be a big part of this, right? Baton Rouge is what, 300 years old, something like that?
It's up there.
And I don't know that we've ever been able to maximize or get anything out of our riverfront except to have a train track run through it. How in 2025 can we, and I don't want to be the curmudgeon this morning. This morning is not about curmudgeons, but how in 2025 can we wake up and say, I've got the idea that nobody's had for 300 years?
I don't think that. I think we've had the idea. I think maybe we haven't looked at it in a fresh light, and that's really part of what this opportunity is. Number one, you've got everyone saying the same thing, whether it be DeSoto Park, the land north of the Queen, obviously the stretch between downtown and the water campus. We all feel like it is underutilized.
Yeah.
I don't know how technically you do it, but there are, and the firm will be announcing this morning, has immense experience, not just in the US, but around the world, working in cities that have large waterfronts and planning those in ways that really maximize what is natural about the river, but also can make sure we have some swing sets. So again, that's not the standard, but we are at a place that everyone says if we don't get back to the river and activate that space, then this plan would be a failure. And so number one at the top.
I know, I agree.
Let's maximize our riverfront.
How much is the next 9 months going to be about not letting the perfect be the enemy of the good?
Yeah, I mean, again, at the end of the day, this will activate at least 5 sites plus the riverfront. So that is the minimum goal. Is we have to have plans with pro formas, so financial analysis, partners ready to go, so these plans can be put into action. That is the success of this. Is not just pretty pictures. It is a plan we can execute on.
We got 1 minute left with Chris Meyer from the Baton Rouge Area Foundation. Recap it, because you mentioned there's 5 sites. Recap what the 5 sites are.
We don't know. That's part of it. Now we have ideas, right? I mean, I would imagine the River Center is going to be part of that because of its investments. The riverfront's going to be part of that, but we will pick another 4 or 5 sites that have the potential to be activated, whether that be for housing, new entertainment options, whatever it is, that comes out of the plan. So we have development partners, resources, and an executable plan in place at the end of these 9 months.
He is Chris Meyer from the Baton Rouge Area Foundation. You said I got 1 minute, John? All right. Within that 1 minute, we're going to hear the repeat of a lot of old ideas. How much of that are we going to have to open up our minds to say the idea wasn't bad, but somewhere along the way we found the way to say no?
Yeah, I think it's important to honor the past, understand why certain ideas didn't work, but also trust that this is a new process that's building on the past. So we're going to hear those ideas. We've culled through a lot of those, but I think you'll see we need fresh ideas that can actually be implemented today, and that's what this plan is part of. So we need everyone to be a part.
He is Chris Meyer from the Baton Rouge Area Foundation. I greatly appreciate a couple minutes this morning. Thank you for hopping on.
Thanks, Brian.
Here's your money now. That clock is now off by 2 minutes. Or no, minute eight. Sorry.
I was wondering why you were looking at me like that. I'm like 1 minute.
I thought we were going to meet up with the commercial and miss the report, but no, we have met our contractual obligation. It needs to be revisited.
It will be.
And
but it'll be in the well, there's 2 contexts. I mean, one, there's what will be the appetite if we have to raise public dollars, like through a bond or something else, and that if you're talking jail, you're moving library money, who knows? But that's what we will be working.
So that's going to be the biggest problem, is how much budgetary room we have here without having to raise our taxes up again. Pierce Sinman says good interview. Nice.
I know. I mean, I think there are a couple of private projects that if the city does the minimum of giving the land for 50 years or getting a 30-year tax abatement, that we can move on a couple of these projects without any other city investment. New taxes will be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get them for something that would be like a tourist attraction downtown, or because we just learned over the last couple months that, or over the last week or two, that we've spent far too much money on shit that we want and not enough on that shit that we need, and that's problematic. And look, I love Breck, but they're going to be the next under the microscope, and every other agency out there, until we feel safe, and not until we are safe, until we feel safe, which is a completely different conversation. That's right, because
we are, and that's another reason why you can invest in ways instead of being downtown. It creates another image of
having somebody whip out a gun with Christmas parade doesn't help, because up until that, we still heard about the 4th of July, which happened like 15 years ago. So, well, I want in on however I can help.
Yeah, I think we should, regularly kind of postmark, and then when we have those kind of events, maybe create some live engagement opportunities to be there at them. And
Patrick Mulhern wants a Louisiana Entertainment Hall of Fame. Film and music.
Love it.
Yeah, I think there's this. It could be huge. Like, that's an actual tourist draw.
Sure.
Yeah. Yep. So he's where he and I are about to do a segment where we just have fun with like naming who could be in it right from the jump. How do you set up the qualifications? Let's call Ronnie Rance with the Sports Hall of Fame up in Anchorage to set up who can be in it and why. Like, do you have to be from here? Do you have to work here? Like this. So anyway, but when you start talking about things like Audubon Alive, that's why I mentioned revisiting ideas from the past. But when you start talking about things like that, it's like, okay, what can we tweak to make it a real draw? Because we built out the part of Audubon Alive that wasn't going to be a draw. That was the water campus. So now we don't have the fun part, but we do have the research part. So let's go back to breaking people. And sorry for being such a curmudgeon about how am I going to have the idea that nobody's had in 300 years. It's true, though, Chris. It's true. Like,
Oh, those will be there, but it's also like you have the ideas you can actually execute.
Right.
And that inspires more to happen. So we'll get there. All right. Thank you. Continue. You too. Oh, we got to talk early childhood next time, too.
Oh, God, yes.
Big announcements coming here.
Really? Bigger than what? Okay.
Yeah, our final task force meeting is at the end of the month, and that will unveil a chance in March for the superintendent and mayor to jointly announce something new and better. Which
let's go.
Do both, right?
Let's go.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm spent. That was all I had. I got Emily coming in 15 minutes. So not ready for that. I'm not even prepped for that interview yet. I'm going to have to do that at the top of the hour. $7:55, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Man, we are moving now. Good night. What a busy hour. Morgan Almeida talking better in BTR, talking 225 day. We had State Representative Dixon McMakin in the house, talking about closing down the Washington Street exit. Much overdue, so needed. And then Chris Meyer from the Baton Rouge Area Foundation, who just completely gets the blood flowing with the possibilities of what could be. Plan Baton Rouge 3, Plan BR3 coming up. The announcement's going to be made an hour and 4 minutes from right now over at the Shaw Center for the Arts, which, as he mentioned, was part of the first Plan Baton Rouge. So fun stuff. We keep it moving. Before we get to our next news item, got to remind you about the folks over at PF Chang's. Tomorrow begins the Lunar New Year. Year of the Snake coming. No, you can't order snake at PF Chang's, but you can get yourself they're going to have specials for the New Year. That is going to start off. Well, give me 1 second to pull my notes back up. Sometimes I put my notes away and I shouldn't. But with the Lunar New Year over at PF Chang's, you can get yourself free pork or shrimp dumplings when you're spending $40. So here's the long and the short of it. You're taking somebody out to eat with you for lunch or dinner. You've got your appetizer covered right there, basically, with the pork or shrimp dumplings. Part of celebrating the Lunar New Year over at PF Chang's. You know where to find them? They are off of Corporate Boulevard in Town Center. Look for the giant golden horse. Per the Chinese zodiac, the year of the snake is on its way. So a lot going to be going on over at PF Chang's over the next couple of months, from tomorrow all the way, I want to say, through April 1st is when they'll be having that promotion going on along with others. And by the way, ask for the Chef's Feast if you've never had it before. Certainly worth your while. All right, we got news coming up about 2.5 minutes from right now. That's enough time for us to talk about the pivot on the energy front. And that's the Trump administration approving a major LNG export project right here in Louisiana. LNG, of course, liquefied natural gas. This will be the first authorization since Biden's pause on new LNG exports a little over a year ago. Louisiana Energy Export Partners spokesman Randy Hayden spoke with our news partners at Louisiana Radio Network. He says it's time to be excited.
President Trump has kept with his promises, and the Department of Energy has approved Commonwealth LNG's initial proposal to move forward with their project.
Now, this is not for us. This is for Cameron Parish. We'll export 9.5 million metric tons per year to non-free trade agreement countries. Hayden stated that LNG exports boost the economy and create jobs for Louisianans.
We had workers that were sitting around twiddling thumbs. You can't do that when there's literally billions of dollars on the line. So we're very excited about this first move.
And it is the first move. And what we've been seeing lately, especially from our Department of Economic Development, is that when there's time, when there's opportunity to strike, we will. And I'm just guessing, this won't be the last move. While it's the first one, it won't be the last one. By the way, Commonwealth LNG plans a final investment decision in September of this year, pending regulatory approvals. Hayden says this is a big move for all LNG plants.
I think in the Gulf Coast, you're looking at probably 7 facilities that have made initial plans and are trying to move forward. That certainly makes the Gulf Coast the world leaders in LNG exports.
And if we are the world leaders in LNG exports, that's going to be more decisions to follow this one up, because as we've seen, success begets success. We do this one right, we'll have another one. And yeah, no, it's not Baton Rouge, it's Cameron Parish. But you know what it also is? Within the borders of Louisiana. You know what it also is? Helping to curb out migration. Maybe even getting to the point of where we're seeing things on the plus side and working towards building back, having a 7th congressional district here in Louisiana. We're coming up on 8 o'clock at Talk 107.3 FM. Hour 3 is next. What? Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Ass everywhere. Ass everywhere. The tush push. Oh. Georgia. Don't care. Sorry. Just going through my sports birthdays. No. That's a great idea. Oh. Don't care. Okay. Happy Tuesday. 806 Talk 1073 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Excuse me. Hour 3 coming your way right now. We're starting off hour 3 at 48 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. We got a lot of ground to cover in this hour, just as we did last hour. State Representative Emily Chenevert going to be in with us in our next segment. We are talking DEI at LSU. Congressman Troy Carter hopping on board. It's been a minute since we caught up with the congressman. He's been traveling on Tuesdays. Why? Travel on Monday. Not that he's going to alter plans for the show, but, you know, it works out to where he's on this week. So we got a lot of ground to cover with him, not the least of which you saw where there's a New Orleans native who's going to be on a stamp. We'll talk about that. A forever stamp. We'll talk about that with Congressman Carter at 8:35, among a number of other topics. Right now, though, before we get to anything else, we do have this day in history. Always a big shout out to 5-Star Printing and Signs. 271-4096 is the phone number. 271-4096. You will find them IRL right next door to Big Mike's in Denham Springs. They just moved. They're just off of Range Avenue. Danny and his team getting a little more visible over there over at 5-Star Printing and Signs with the new digs out there. Take a look around your office. Look at your signage. Everything from your business cards to your brochures, to your invoices, to your receipts, to what you've got in the window. Time for a refresh? Danny's got you covered. Printshop5.com. And by the way, when you check out printshop5.com, branding is more important now than ever. Branding is like whatever merch you want to put your logo on, Danny's got you covered. Printshop5.com or 271-4096. All right, John. What happened?
Yeah. Hey, starting off in 1879, French sculptor Frederick Auguste is awarded a U.S. patent for his design for the Statue of Liberty.
Oh.
So that happened today.
Okay.
1885, Mark Twain publishes The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn in the U.S.
Wait a minute. You skipped 1861.
What happened in 1861?
Jefferson Davis was inaugurated as the provincial president of the Confederate States of America.
Okay.
That didn't last.
No.
Oof. Yeah.
1893, the Barnum Museum opens in Bridgeport, Connecticut, dedicated to the life of P.T. Barnum.
You're kidding me.
This is the greatest show.
So my son is absolutely obsessed with P.T. Barnum right now.
Really? Has he watched The Greatest Showman?
Dozens of
Loves
times.
it. Yeah, it's so good.
But he's reading a book called Who Was P.T. Barnum? And he's going to be P.T. Barnum as a character for his class.
That is amazing.
They have like I don't know if it's like I don't know the Wax Museum Day, I think it is. Anyway,
cool.
they don a different personality, take on a character, and he's gonna be P.T. Barnum.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's really cool stuff.
Yep.
Hey, 1970, U.S. President Richard Nixon launches the Nixon Doctrine.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Music news here. 1977, American rock band Kiss play their first concert in their hometown venue of Madison Square Garden in New York City.
When was this?
1977.
Okay.
2019, 16 U.S. states, including California and New York, band together to sue President Donald Trump over his use of emergency powers to build a border wall.
Gotta rewind it back to 2010.
Let's go ahead.
Can you believe it was 15 years ago today that the website WikiLeaks began posting classified U.S. government documents?
Oh,
yep.
Wow.
Yep.
How did I miss that one?
I don't know.
Man. 2021, Facebook blocks users in Australia from accessing news sites in response to proposed new laws for tech companies to pay to show news content.
Did you have what happened on this day in 1930?
1930? No, I don't think I did.
Pluto was discovered.
Pluto. Finally regarded as a planet, right?
I mean, you call it what you want now, but they didn't know it was there before 1930.
Yeah, there we go.
And what happened on this day in 2001 will be addressed in just a little while. So birthdays, what you got?
Okay. Top of my list here, Dr. Dre.
No kidding. He's the top of your list.
He's honestly the top of my list.
All right.
I kid you not.
Yep, that's fine.
What about John Travolta as well?
Sure.
Vanna White.
Okay.
Molly Ringwald and Matt Dillon as well.
Not just Molly Ringwald, but John Hughes. The
Oh,
director.
see, I'm working my way down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
there we go.
You don't have a Molly Ringwald if you don't have John Hughes.
That's exactly right. I do see him right here. Oh man, yeah, he's right below Yoko Ono. What the
Why is he below Yoko
Right, that's what
Ono?
I'm saying. Why does she
And you
get
haven't even
that?
gotten close to Milos Forman yet.
Ooh.
I know. Another director.
Oh man.
Who else you got?
Who else we got here? I don't know. Who else you got on your end? Trying to see if I have anyone, notable, Of course
There's only
birthdays.
one in the sports world I want to touch on. That was Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, let's go ahead with that. What about deaths you got?
Oh,
I got Michelangelo.
Yeah, Michelangelo died on this day in 1564. Martin Luther died on this day in
Got him as
1546.
well. Yep.
In 2001, on the last turn of the last lap of the Daytona 500,
Yes.
Dale Earnhardt hit the wall.
Indeed. J. Robert Oppenheimer as well today.
Okay. Oh, forgot on the birthdays, Enzo Ferrari.
Oh, okay.
So I wonder if they celebrate over at Vex European.
Hey,
Because
might.
they'll work on the Ferraris for sure. Ferraris.
Hey, national days?
Yes, give it to me. I'm sure they're all awful.
They are
also
terrible.
Frank Costello died today.
Oh,
yeah.
They are terrible. Pluto Day.
Like we said, Pluto was discovered today. Sure.
I don't even want to know. I don't even want to.
Go for it. Now you
Thumb
can't.
Appreciation Day.
What?
And then we have, cow milk.
What?
While flying in an airplane day.
Hey, no, stop.
Thumb Appreciation Day.
Thumb Appreciation Day?
I'm going to tell you a story. The other day I got cut off by somebody, and instead of flipping me off, he gave me a thumbs down, which hurt more than a middle finger. Like the thumbs down was just, that hurt more.
Thumbs down. So powerful.
Yeah, I know. I would have rather gotten flipped off, but
was
it
it?
thumbs
Did
down.
he do it slowly?
Slowly.
Did he start?
Just like,
Did he start
halfway,
parallel? He started
he just went
parallel
down,
and then turned it.
and I'm like, oh man, I felt
Cuts
terrible.
like a knife.
I know.
I'm not appreciating that thumb today. All right, we got a break. It's 8:13
Yeah,
to
we
Talk
do.
107.3 FM WBRP. Before we take that break, got to remind you about the folks over at Mathern's. You know where to find them. They're downtown on 3rd Street. They're also in the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center. They're your Carnival headquarters all season long. Here's why. The Nicholson location, wonderful display of king cakes they've got over there. If you walk in, look to your right, you'll see the giant Mardi Gras tray. Look under that. That's where you're going to find the traditional, the filled, the fancy. They've got you covered on that front. Moving forward from king cakes, and if you haven't brought one to work yet, shame on you. Moving forward from king cakes, we do still have a couple of Mardi Gras balls that are out there. If yours has not happened yet, hit up Matherns.com. They have over 50 different catering trays. Yes, you can bring finger sandwiches or vegetable tray if you want to, but you can go big. Bring the fried catfish. Bring the boudin balls. Liven up your table a little bit with a better selection at Matherns.com. And then when it comes parading time, the downtown location has an entrance on the 3rd Street side and on the 4th Street side. That entrance on the 4th Street side is actually where the downtown route turns from 4th onto Main. Yep, that's where you're going to find Matherns. So if you forgot anything for tailgating along the route, they've got you covered there. It's Matherns. State Rep Emily Chenevert is up next. All righty.
Thumbs down. Huh?
Thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
Slowly.
It's like Gladiator, where he sits there deciding he's going to die or not. And he does this or this.
Did you see the second one yet?
I did.
Oh, I didn't see it yet.
I'll be honest, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
My fear of always watching that second one is like,
Oh, yeah.
I love the first so much, and you're like, I mean, can it compare? So,
I know Denzel caught a lot of flack for not changing his accent. He's just
that was a little weird.
yeah.
That was the weird part. I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I can.
He didn't change his accent.
He's
He's
one of
just
my favorite. I mean, I love
Denzel.
watching him as an actor. Yeah, but I just, I don't know.
So good.
Before we get into any interview, Stan Catrone says hello.
Aw. Is he?
No, he works with me.
Yeah,
he works for TSG.
Yeah.
So I see him every day, whenever I'm working fellowship.
Whenever you're working for LSU. Good deal. This is a good conversation. I feel like there's a lot that's been coming up.
Okay.
I'm going to
if you saw too, like last week, I'll talk a little bit about it. But on the 14th, and I have the letter here too, and I've been going through it a lot. But from the federal level, the acting assistant secretary for civil rights in the Department of Ed basically released a letter saying that you have 14 days, K through 12 in all universities, to remove anything dealing with DEI initiatives within. This was like this past Friday.
Okay.
So there's a lot, like LSU's making adjustments. There's a lot that's happening. Discussion. The article last week, and then I think the big conversation right now is that you're looking at universities across the country are dropping DEI statements, DEI requirements for enrollment. They're starting to say, okay, and in the court case that was ruled in 2023, when Harvard was accused of doing discriminatory, basically enrollment based on race, so the Supreme Court ruled. So since that ruling, universities are kind of nervous because they want to make sure they're doing the right thing.
Yes.
So is our board, which kudos to them, right?
Yes.
So it's really more of a positive, like it's just, I always like to say, it's just looking at how we spend dollars and what our education dollars do.
And what are our priorities?
And what are our priorities. And so I'm obsessed with LSU. I love it. I graduated from LSU, love LSU. And I think that you always look at the things that you care about. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's how I am. I mean, I look at like kids, our family, our budget. You're always like, wait, how can we make it better? What are we doing? What's not working? So I do think it's but it can be a challenging conversation.
Okay.
I think it'd be good. So no, today's show's good though. Been listening in all
Thank you.
morning.
I started the morning feeling like I was hit by a bus.
Aw.
So yeah, I'm just gonna crash after the show.
That's not fun.
No.
She can kind of hear me okay.
818 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Moving the conversation over to DEI and LSU. You may have seen the story. It was towards the end of last week. Grabbing this from WBRZ. State lawmakers say they're concerned about how tax dollars are being spent at state universities. Last year, the LSU Board of Supervisors got rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Then state leaders asked for a report about which DEI programs Louisiana universities are still funding. That brings us around to State Representative Emily Chenevert, who's in studio right now. Good morning. Welcome back. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well.
Glad to have you in this morning. Glad to be having the discussion because it's a discussion that a lot of folks will shy away with because people get mad.
Yeah.
So let's walk the entire path. Start us off with, from a state legislator's perspective, what brought about this discussion?
Well, you bring up a great point, Brian, and I would agree with you. This can be a hard conversation. I think when you start and lean in with compassion and understanding to figure out where everybody is, that's how we have to start this conversation. When I ran, I talked about how I'm here for the hard conversations because that's how I think we move society along. I'll be honest. And so this really started with, I had a resolution last year. It was HB 904, which is now, it was Act 641. And that resolution was just requiring that all K through 12 and then higher ed to just do a report on DEI initiatives. That looks at, it could be from hiring, it could look at initiatives that where dollars are being spent, whether it's through enrollment, whether it's through different programs that are geared towards certain groups. You know, what are we spending on that? It was more of a kind of a transparency bill, really.
Okay.
And it wasn't ending anything. It was just like, what are we doing? And for me, you know, I have followed this issue across the country, really. And there's an organization, Parents Defending Education, that is really, really dug deep into K through 12, into higher ed, and where these dollars are being spent. So, you know, that's really for me was just like, what are we doing in our state? And look, I tell people all the time, sometimes they'll say, oh, well, we're not as bad as this state, or this state's doing this. No, let's just dig in. Let's just look and see. What are we doing? Where are we spending our tax dollars? One thing as legislators is no matter what the issue is, we're always looking into that to figure out what we're doing. And so for me, that's what this was, this resolution. And so basically, there was a written report that the universities had 1 year from 2023 to 2024, what was spent in those DEI initiatives, and had to report it to the Board of Regents. And then K through 12 was for 3 years. And again, just focused on some of these programs. And so what we do know is that my resolution was for state dollars. We do know that the former administration, as far as the federal level, they spent, according to a report by Parents Defending Education, that there was $1 billion in grants were spent in K through 12 and universities across the country from a federal level. This resolution was more for state dollars. I just want to make sure that
Yeah.
everyone understands. But we know tons of dollars have been dropped into the country on these initiatives on DEI. And so, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so, a lot of times people have different definitions of what that is for them, right? Well, what's your definition? And what's this university's definition? And so what we are seeing across the country too, where people are dropping DEI statements when it comes to a required DEI diversity statement for enrollment. They're dropping it whenever they're doing hiring at universities because some people are questioning, according to the law, is this a form of discrimination based on one person's definition of what they think diversity is and another one's? So you kind of had this argument on speech a little bit, right? And that could be concerning from a legal standpoint.
Okay.
Right. And so that's really where some of this is. And it was really just a report and just, submitting it to Board of Regents, submitting it to Department of Ed. And so you kind of dig deep a little bit. That's kind of where we are.
Okay. What did we find? What did the deep dive turn up?
So it turns into where focusing heavily more and pulling this up is really more today is like looking at some of the things within LSU, not just LSU. Again, the report, as you were talking, how I had it pulled up right now and I'm like looking at it. So a couple of things is that we saw that it wasn't you saw some reports of some salaries of DEI, whether it be a coordinator or director. You saw some programs through certain colleges where they would focus mainly on, I'm looking at this right now, Brian, I had it pulled up. Here we go. Some things dealing with different colleges. And so, you look at some events being held, you look at some summer experiences where students coming out of high school that they would consider, quote, underrepresented. I don't always know what underrepresented means to some degree in some of this language where dollars being spent to help these students to kind of get into the transition to college. And that's like $71,000 kind of spent in that. That was through LSU. Some things that you look at, some money spent on ceremonies for graduation. That's more like one was called the Lavender graduation, where it's celebrating more LGBTQ group it does not take the place of where everyone graduates, the massive graduation at LSU, but it's just these separate little ceremonies for this group. And then a separate ceremony kind of for this group. Again, everyone is graduating together, but this is just what I'm reading, right? In the report. And so I'm still getting through some of this. So you see some of these is where it's like, it's just one group can have another little celebration. I don't remember that happening. I was at LSU. I don't know. Maybe it's always been there, but from what the report says, what is the purpose of some of these separate graduations, ceremonies? Maybe they said it's bringing people together. But again, are we looking at groups? I think if you look at some of these DEI initiatives, are we separating groups more, right? Are we doing more where we're all together, or are we separating individually more? And is that a good thing? And so that's the concern, I think, for some of this. I will say, I did notice people say, a lot of universities have safe spaces. Well, it did in the report, and they mentioned about safe space training and how the participants become eligible of how to train people to be safe space trained. I don't know exactly. That was $21,000. Not on that one issue. There was a couple things listed under the Office of Engagement, Civil Rights, and Title IX about health safety. This was one of a few things listed. So my question is, why, what are those dollars being spent for safe spaces? Right? Understand this as an adult,
what
18 and up.
And what do we get out of it?
What do we get out of it? Right? And my concern is this: does someone not feel safe? Where is it a legal issue? Are we of concern that someone's not, or is it just more of an emotional thing? And I think these are some of the things that a lot of times when you look at these DEI initiatives, what are they doing? What are these outcomes? What's the purpose of taxpayer dollars? At the end of the day, with education, everyone's going to have difference of opinions on emotions, safe spaces, all those things, right? Taxpayer dollars have to be spent where we have strong educational outcomes. Let's look at K through 12, for example. We have seen what it does when we focus on, we're raising the bar in Louisiana underneath the leadership of Dr. Gabe Brumley, the teachers, administrators, going back to the basics. It's phenomenal because we're focusing on the basics where dollars need to be focused on educational outcomes, period. Yes. And I think that's the question is, are we spending dollars in areas that, and look, there is a difference between higher ed and K through 12, right? You're 18 and up. You're making decisions to go to a university. You're making decisions. However, I think it's important to note what you mentioned, how the board in October, they're pulling back on some of the DEI initiatives, according to the board. They're doing their own resolution. What are we spending? The board's asking questions. And I believe we're seeing that because of the lawsuit. Whenever you look at Harvard and some of the enrollment where they were more race-based enrollment.
Yeah.
And the Supreme Court ruled you can't do that. We can't discriminate based on whether you're black, white, yellow, brown. And I think it's just the idea we've got to make sure in our universities and K through 12 that everything we're doing is equality for all. It's fair.
Yes. Okay.
Right?
So, but that's the big picture right there, is the equality for all part. How do we walk the balance of saying we don't need a DEI program, but maintain that equality?
It's a great point. And I think it also goes back to the role of government. The role of government, our role of government is the law, right? We have to follow the law. We have to make sure that our laws are not discriminatory. We have to make sure our actions are not discriminatory. And so are we, and this is posing a question, it goes back to us having the conversation. Are we, by separating individual groups, saying we're going to spend money on this group, we're going to spend money on this, and we're going to have, DEI statements, or we're going to have DEI statements so when an enrollment comes into play, we're going to judge you based on how you write and your opinion on diversity. Is that going to make me decide whether or not am I diverse enough to get enrolled and to get that opportunity, or am I not? These are just questions I'm putting out there because we're not the only ones having these questions.
Right.
This is happening across the country. You're seeing MIT dropped some of these in some of these universities. You look at what other universities are doing. They're dropping, some of these DEI initiatives. You've got a university, I think it's Wyoming. You've got all these universities are questioning, are we getting into this weird gray area of we want to represent all groups. We want to help minorities. We want to do these things. But are we also in reverse? Are we going backwards a little bit and going back into these corners where everyone has their own space?
Right.
And I think that's just a conversation we have to have. And it's a challenge because, again, it is sensitive. But look, Brian, I tell people all the time, I love people. I ran for office. I love people. I believe as a person, not as a legislator, as a mom, as an individual, that God has created everyone with different skin tones. Some have more melanin in their skin. Some have less. It is worth celebrating. And that I feel like we've just got to make sure that when we're talking around these critical conversations, that we're making space for everybody and that we're not going to say, hey, you over here and you over here.
Yeah.
And that's just, I think, what the conversations happen around the country. And we're seeing from the top down where these dollars are now, hey, it was announced Friday when you look at the letter that come down from the Department of Ed going to all the universities. We're not going to spend dollars. You can't discriminate in any capacity. So I think the writing's kind of on the wall right now. Everyone sees what's going on.
We got State Representative Emily Chenevert in with us for 2 more minutes. Talk about DEI, specifically at LSU. What's the report card there? Are we? They said they disbanded the DEI programs. What's the follow-up report say?
Well, I will say this. My report is just some of the spending from a state dollar standpoint, but I think there's that other piece is going to be the board is requested. They have a resolution to kind of look at some of the spending too. From my understanding, that has not been complete. I think it was in 90 days. I have to go back and look at some of that, for instance, October. That may include federal dollars because, again, this is just state. So you're looking at, I have some questions. I feel like there may be some salaries that I saw that's from the last year or two that I didn't see kind of in the report. But the Board of Regents has been incredible to work with. They're asking me, hey, how are you understanding all of this? They've been great. And so if I've got more questions, I know I can go to them and ask them questions. And look, I want it to thrive. I want LSU to thrive. All of our universities. And again, this was not just LSU. We looked at ULL.
Right.
We looked at Northwestern. You're looking at, look at every university across the state to say, hey, where are we spending our dollars? Like, how many millions of dollars are being spent? So I think that's one thing that you can look at in some of this. And like a lot of these reports eventually will be within the Board of Regents. Usually they post these things. I don't think it's posted yet. I could be wrong on that. I looked again. I didn't see it posted there.
Well, then this just sets it up for the next conversation because we're going to have the follow-up on what is being spent, what is being disbanded. Because when, on the hiring side, we've already got an EEOC.
Mm-hmm.
And for everything else, we've got a 14th Amendment to the Constitution.
Correct.
Which would make something like a DEI program. At least in my eyes. But then again, you're talking to a straight white male here.
Yeah.
So it would make it redundant.
Right.
So walking that balance of protection versus overly spending on something that's not needed. I don't know. Like, we need to follow up.
Right. We need to follow. And look, and like I say, and I was on LSU's campus last year, and I was so impressed. Dr. Tate, he walked us through the campus and some things that I had never seen before. And I am the biggest proponent of our flagship school. I love it. And the things that you love, you look into, you dig into, you want to sell it to people all over the country. And so I believe in it. I'm here to help it get stronger and better. And that's where my mind and heart is. And I think that's where a lot of our legislators is. We want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to take the taxpayer dollars and utilize it in the best way to have the best educational outcomes.
She is State Representative Emily Chenevert. We'll get the follow up on the calendar in short order. Kind of a mini doge going on with the with where the dollars are headed. I always appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here comes news on Talk 107.3 FM. So he said they disbanded the program. Did they?
So they're so the program is yes, well, yet to be determined. Yes, I feel like that it was adjusted. There was a name change as well. There's some things that have been cut off, and like in our amount of time, there were some things in here that we saw were closed in the report. They were closed between the year of reporting and now in different universities. But I mean, there's the safe space thing was very interesting to me.
There's no such thing. I hate that term so much.
And I think that's where you're looking at why, and it's just asking questions. I think that's what's important. You want to ask questions. And I think questions are good. I think we have to sit down and have some, conversations and figure out what are we doing with tax dollars. But that's what's happening across the country right now. I mean, you've got, like you said, it's not Doge, but.
Well, no, one of the things that Doge has sparked is that everybody's starting to say, wait, what are our dollars being spent on? Whether you're talking about on a federal level, or you're talking about a state level, or look at what Sid Edwards is doing in the city right now. Like, everybody's starting to say, wait a minute, like, we're pretty tapped out on our end. And to come off of COVID to recession to inflation to fiscal responsibility, it's top of mind. So, yeah, everybody needs to be paying attention.
Everybody needs to pay attention. Yeah, I mean, you have to. You're at a place now where this is where the country is. I hope you start feeling better.
Thank you.
That stinks. I mean,
I tend to burn the candle at both ends. If I'm being honest, I haven't been right since we got back to DC.
You haven't. I'll be honest. We got back. We flew back that Saturday morning because I had to leave town on Monday morning for work.
Yeah.
Shane was sick in the airport all day Saturday. We got home. I had to leave again Monday. I was like, I need you. I'm tapping out. I need you to take care of kids. I'll be back on Wednesday. And I got back and crashed. It was. I think everybody felt bad.
Has it been 3 weeks already? It's been almost 4.
Yeah. You still haven't gotten. Did you ever go to the doctor? Maybe you had flu, COVID, something.
I didn't go to the doctor.
I know, you're probably right. You don't go to the doctor.
If I can function, like if I'm down for the count, I'll go to the doctor. But like, what am I pay? A couple $100 for Tamiflu to do nothing? I'll just stay miserable for a while. But I haven't missed work. I mean, so much taking a day off. Like, plus I got the LSU gig. Hey, I'm sending you a. Sorry to multitask the back end. With us, I'm sending John something real quick.
Oh yeah.
I want this song as bumper coming back in here. Alan Toussaint's getting a forever stamp. Yeah, which is pretty cool. Congressman Carter's going to be on for talk about that and a couple of other things. But yeah, getting back from DC until now, and it's like there's no taking the foot off the gas. Yeah. And it's going to be. How old are your kids?
So little girl, not necessarily older on the house. There are kids, but they're like big kids.
Yeah.
The little ones are in third and fifth.
Okay. So my oldest is going to Southern Miss next year. So on top of everything else, there's the added full-time job of looking for scholarship dollars. It's so ridiculous. You what? No. And LSU was a non-starter for us. That was Daddy made that call. You got to get out of the house. You got to go away. You got to spread your wings. It's fortuitous pun that she becomes a golden eagle, but spread your wings a little bit. And 2.5 hours away. If you have to come home, we're here for you. I'm disappointed she chose Southern Miss over Northwestern State because top dollars stings. But so we're going to be running for tuition roughly the same as we're running at St. Joseph's Academy. But we will be paying for housing and sororities and all that other shit too. So that's what we're working on right now, is knocking tuition down to where we can afford the other end of it. And plus, the moment she stepped on campus, she fell in love. Like, she fell in love with the city, the campus, all of it all at once. I'm like, I'm not saying no to this. but she's going to have to like earn it because there's only so much we can do. Yeah. Right? No, I know. Where does all that money go, though? That's the next question to be asked. Is however much money Elon can scrape up, where does it go? Who gets that? But they haven't stopped collecting it from us. Right. I'll text you and we'll set up for like about 2-3 weeks from now. All right. Yep. Thank you. We are looking at rain today, 90% chance of rain today. That's the bad news. The good news is it probably won't hit most of us until we're all home for the night, right? In the overnight hours, expect some thunderstorms around 1 to 2 a.m., but expect the showers to start around 8 p.m. and continue through probably about 6 o'clock tomorrow morning before it's all said and done. Now, that is going to reset the cold. Tomorrow's high is only getting up to 45. Tomorrow night's low into Thursday morning going to be 24. 44 on Thursday with a low of 25. And then it starts to warm back up a little bit. We'll be in the 50s for Friday and Saturday. Right now, we are looking at cloudy skies and 50 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Gotta let it breathe for a second. .38 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Time for a little DC Current presented by LABI. Joining us now is Congressman Troy Carter. I'm sure the Congressman doesn't mind hearing a little Alan Toussaint on the way in.
Not at all, brother. Not at all.
All right, your top 3 Alan Toussaint songs. Give them to me.
Well, my first one is God dog it, man. You put me on the spot there.
All right, it's going to be okay. We understand Southern Nights is number 1, right?
Southern Nights. I'm not the best at calling names. Southern Nights is definitely would be in my top 5.
Coal Mine, is that too obvious?
Yeah, pretty much. But it's a good one. Wouldn't have been one of my favorites, but it's there.
And for me, it's Country John on the back end, the one we heard on the way in right there. It's he is a New Orleans legend. He is a Louisiana legend, and you got some news about Alan Toussaint.
Man, let me tell you, I was honored to be present when there was the unveiling of the Forever stamp honoring the legend, the man, Alan Toussaint. We were treated to an incredible mini concert, impromptu, with Elvis Costello, with Irma Thomas. Just out of the blue, they called them up the stage and they performed one song after another that had been written by or influenced by Alan Toussaint. It was an incredible opportunity to be with his family. You know, when I spoke, I reminded people as a young boy growing up in New Orleans, I remember seeing Alan Toussaint driving through the streets of New Orleans with his black and gold Rolls Royce with the license plate piano, with the perfectly shaped afro. He was a legend for little kids to see this larger-than-life icon drive through the streets of New Orleans as a treat. And later in life, getting to know him and his family, was Reggie and Allison, was something very special. And now having him memorialized on a forever stamp is pretty special. It speaks to the language that he spoke, and that was a language of music, a language of love, a language of unity that brought all people together. If you looked in the audience, it was a virtual potpourri of everything and everyone, which is indicative of the man who brought people together.
First Jazz Fest after Hurricane Katrina, seeing Dr. John, Harry Connick Jr., and Alan Toussaint on stage all at the same time. I like that. I will go to my deathbed carrying that great memory with me for the rest of my life.
Absolutely. That's the stuff that Louisiana's made of, man. You know, when we look at the influences that our culture and our music has had on the world, not just our country, but the world, it's pretty amazing. And we can use a shot in the arm of that kind of unity now with all this going on in the country, regardless of what party you're a part of. We all have to be very concerned about the threat to our democracy.
We're talking with Congressman Troy Carter. This is DC Current, presented by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. How do you walk that line, Congressman, between, I know we're told there's a threat to our democracy, but there's also a lot of stuff being done that a lot of people are in favor of. Walk me down that path.
I think people are in favor of the theory, but not the practice. The theory of rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse. We're all in favor of it. The process is how that gets messed up in the process. You don't unilaterally just wipe out thousands of employees without any plan for who's going to show up Monday morning to carry out those functions. You don't exact tariffs without realizing what impact it would have to our rice farmers, to our milk farmers, to our sugar farmers. You don't take away the important funding for NIH and Tulane and LSU to do research on dreaded diseases because you want to just freeze things. The motion continues to go forward. We're circling in to try to get a cure for these dreaded diseases, and the noted research hospitals like LSU and Tulane are frozen and threatened to lose funding. Listen, there's a way to do it. I think people like the theory that we should get rid of fraud and waste. Yes, I fully support that. I think people like the idea of making government smaller. Yes, I fully support that. Until you start impacting those things that impact those people who want it. Look at the voter remorse that we're starting to see across the country with farmers who are saying, "Oh, wait a minute, that's not what we signed up for. I voted for President Trump, but I wouldn't again because now my business is going under." When we look at tariffs that are going to unduly put additional pressure on everyone in the grocery store. When our president was running for office, he said on day one, prices of eggs would go down. Prices of eggs are going up.
The price of eggs has nothing to do with politics, Congressman, and you know that.
Wait a minute. Oh, that's not fair. That's not fair. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm going to push back. I'm only saying what he said he would do.
Right.
I never suggested he had the power to bring power of eggs down.
Yeah.
But he said it, and that's what he ran on. So when you say, on day one, I'm going to bring the price of eggs down, and day 27 and 28 here, and the price of eggs have gone up, you've got to own that statement. Would you agree?
To an extent, yes, because you can control the controllables, but the bird flu is out of his
Wait
hands.
Wait a minute. He also said the price of groceries would go down, and they've gone up. He also said that the war in Ukraine would be over, that he would end it on day one. Come on, you and I have had very good discussions.
Oh, we have, I know.
Own it, but you've got to own it when the facts are what they are. I'm not saying he could have done any of those things. He said he was going to do those things. So the point I make to you and all of our listeners is you have to be, you can't say one thing to get elected and then blame it on someone else when it's time to answer. You said on day one, the price of eggs will go down. Now, I'm saying these things in defense of our farmers. Yeah. I'm saying these things in defense of our producers. I'm saying these things in defense of Louisiana consumers, be they black, white, Republican, Democrat, or other. These actions are hurting everyday Americans. This is not Republican or Democrat. I say this all the time. This is about the lifeblood of our economy, the lifeblood of our survival, of our culture, of our food base, of our security, our national security and domestic security. When we talk about the importance of USAID, that rice, you know where that rice comes from? They buy it from Louisiana farmers. When we're feeding hungry people across the country and we're trying to protect democracy, you know who are the major producers? Louisiana farmers are.
Oh, I know. We have Mike Strain on once a month to talk about exactly that. And by the way, we're still behind the 8 ball when it comes to feeding the entire world. We're doing our best here in Louisiana.
Yeah, but we're going backwards, respectfully, my friend. And I want to go back because I'm gonna push you on this because you said it's not his fault about eggs. Would you agree with me? He said in his campaign on day one, I'm going to bring the price of eggs down. On day one, I'm going to bring the price of groceries down. On day one, I'm going to end the war in Ukraine. Did he not say those things?
So yes, he did. However,
Come on now.
No. I'm gonna give the guy some room to run, and get on day. Okay, what was said versus what was heard, Congressman, is on day one. I'm going to begin the process. Lowering energy costs will lower the price of gas.
Brian, I can't give you that one.
Why?
He didn't say I'm going to begin the process.
Oh no. I'm not saying what he said. I'm saying what was heard. And
what was heard was on day one because I have this magic wand, and this is where we have to, as a people, as an electorate, have to really weigh in, and we cannot be misleading to the American people saying anything to get elected. As many of us, Republican and Democrat alike, will say, it is not as easy to do those things. This is a very complex situation, whether it's at our border, in our national and international affairs, in the grocery store. The problems that plague America are challenging and they require all hands on deck. I'm making this point because I want to demonstrate that if we're going to get things done, we have to be thoughtful, honest, and collaborative. This notion that we are going to have an unelected billionaire play with an Etch-a-Sketch as is his newest toy and just shake it up whenever it messes up and start over again. These are people's lives. You're talking about 19,000 federal employees in Louisiana who may lose their jobs. Why? Because this guy says, let's just get rid of all of them, notwithstanding that most, if not all of them, are good, hardworking individuals. Or this guy decides, listen, I'm going to take away security for our nuclear armament, not knowing how it's going to be manned the next day. Oops, we made a mistake. Got to bring all those people back. Well, listen, being quick is good, but being thorough and careful is better. Being able to attack fraud, waste, and abuse is good. Making sure we're doing it properly is better. And we cannot throw the baby out with the bathwater because it feels good or because you've got all the money in the world and this is your newest, greatest toy. These are American people's lives. And these Americans happen to be Republican, Democrat, independent, and other. And we have a United States Constitution that the framers of the Constitution designed for a day such as this, to protect the people from tyranny, to protect the people from oligarchy. That's why we have a democracy. That's why we have checks and balances. That's the only reason I brought that point to you, to make it crystal clear. On day one, X, Y, and Z was going to happen. It's day 28, and the only thing that's happened is mass confusion. This is not about politics. This is about people. This is not about R or D. I have as many friends that have told me they're concerned who happen to be Republican as I do Democrats. This is about our democracy, my friend.
Skipping his second cup of coffee because he's fired up for the rest of the day. Congressman Troy Carter is on with us for DC Current, presented by LABI. I wish the segment went forever because we could continue to go back and forth. But I want to make sure we come back around to something you're working on directly before we get you out of here. PSA screening for Him Act. Tell me about it.
Yes, the PSA screening for Him Act is a bipartisan bill that I'm proud to once again be sponsoring with my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, that demonstrates the importance of pushing back against something that we know can save lives, and that's prostate cancer. The PSA HIMS Act creates an opportunity to have preventive measures to reduce the copay of individuals to get screened, because Republicans and Democrats, we agree that the money we save on having preventive measures save us trillions of dollars on the back end of having to pay for care or loss of life. 90% of prostate cancer is completely curable if caught in time, and the way it's caught in time by a simple PSA test. So this bill, again, co-sponsored by Republicans and Democrats, would create an opportunity to relax and ease the opportunities to encourage people to please, black, white, Republican, other, get tested. You don't have to die from prostate cancer.
This was one of those ones, Congressman, that as soon as I read about it, I was like, why wasn't this already the way? From a health insurance perspective, I feel like this is going to save the insurance companies money.
It's going to save insurance companies a ton of money. And unfortunately, we uncover every day, Brian, things that you think, wow, that's common sense. Why wasn't that done? Unfortunately, common sense is not as common as we'd hope it to be. And so we continue to pour through the books and look at ways that we can bring insurance prices, costs down, save lives, and advance our medical technologies to make sure that we're doing the best to keep people out of hospitals, keep them from having these insurance premiums that skyrocket because they use their insurance, and make sure that we have a healthy community. Some of these things are very simple measures that, again, are common sense, as you noted, but take pulling the people together to make it happen. And I'm proud to be doing this in a bipartisan way.
We'll keep it up. He is Congressman Troy Carter. We do DC Current at this time just about every week. It's brought to you by the Louisiana Association of Business Industry. We will talk to you next week, Congressman. Always appreciate you, brother.
God bless you, my friend. Have a fantastic week.
You do the same. We are way long for break. Ooh, he lit up, didn't he? He lit up good. Everything he said was garbage. No, that's not fair. That's not fair. I disagree with a lot of what he said along the way throughout there, but it wouldn't be fair for me to elaborate when he's no longer on the phone. So let's take a quick break. We have the outside in next.
Yeah, we had a caller call in. He didn't leave his name or anything, but it's a new voice, I guess.
What'd he say? No, let's talk about it when we come back on. I don't even want to do the outside in. Let's do that.
Really?
What'd the caller say?
Oh, he just said Congressman is just incapable of having a educational conversation with anyone. He's like, he's too, he blew up way too quick. He's like, just tell Brian to make that the last time. Like the guy comes on the show.
Never.
Never.
He is our representation in Washington, D.C.
Right, exactly. And we're here. We're here for people's opinions, man. We're here to hear their voice as well, and not just, But yeah. But he's like, man, this is unbearable. Like, I said, sir, I'm honestly surprised at how it just it escalated very quickly. Got his heart rate up, man. Whew, what's Facebook got to say?
I don't even know. I'm going back to his press person.
Oh, man. Fired up. Oh, well, he said day one. Hey, let's give him a little bit. Let's No. That's what he said. That's what he said.
Day one.
He said day one. We're 28 days in. Where's the progress? Say it slower this time. 28 days. 28 days. Let's give him some time.
He was on fire this morning. I poked him with Doge and he went off. That was so much fun. I love when he gets going. Disagree all day long, but he's so good.
Oh, man. That was intense. Y'all need to end talking about Frankie Beverly or something.
Oh, Frankie Beverly passed.
Oh, man. What's your top 5 favorite songs? I don't know. Name some and I'll tell you.
I'm honestly a little disappointed.
Name your favorite and I'll tell you mine. Summer Nights? Yeah, it's in there. It's in my top 5. But what's your top 5? Yeah, it's you put me on the spot. I don't know. No, I get it.
Yeah, on the spot. Alan Toussaint's not in your Spotify on a regular day-to-day
Right.
basis in 2025. Jeez,
I don't know, bro.
My DMs are on fire right now.
Oh, I bet. Man. That escalated quickly. I like it. I feel like it's a good way to kind of,
Oh, that's my phone.
I was about to say. I know.
All right. 8:56 coming up on 8:57 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Tell you what, that's the outside in right there. John, you took a call or two during that segment, huh?
I did.
Tell me all about it.
Oh man. Look, I appreciate all the listeners. I appreciate the feedback. I do. Even if it's directly negatively toward me, I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you offering your input. But yeah, we had a caller call in last segment, and he just recommended that'd be the last time.
Never,
the congressman.
Never, absolutely not. And I'll tell you why.
Him that we welcome all voices, right?
Well,
we want to hear.
It's not just that,
right?
It's not just that. He is the elected representative from the 2nd Congressional District in Louisiana.
Correct.
He is our representation on Capitol Hill.
Yes.
He is 1/6 of our representation in the House of Representatives. He will have a voice on here. Disagree with him all day long. That piece, I can't. I love the man. I do.
Right.
He's awesome in real life.
Yeah.
Politics aside,
imagine.
I disagree with him all day long. You know why he tries to railroad and filibuster right there?
What's that?
Because he knows I'm going to come right back at him. And he knows I've got
works.
one eye on the clock to make sure we hit your money now, which we totally missed.
Oh,
we missed the hard break.
Almost every time.
But the thing is, he's got that passion, and he knows what he would like to see for everything he said in the hopes of a better America. His vision of how to get there and my vision of how to get there are two different visions.
Right.
But the end game is the same, and that's a better America.
Yes.
I would be on the side that says, yeah, we do need so we would like to reduce fraud. We would like to reduce waste. Well, nobody's freaking done it for 250 years. About time somebody does something. That's my take. His take you just heard in that last segment. His voice is not done on this station. And God willing, we get Cleo Fields on here, and because we're in the heart of the 6th Congressional District, I want that happening too. We hear from Congresswoman, we got to miss Julia Letlow tomorrow because we're going to be on site in Lobby. Yeah. But if you represent Louisiana on Capitol Hill, you've got a spot on DC Current. Every chance that we can get. We need the disagreement without being disagreeable. That we need the pushback of opinion without having an echo chamber. I'm here for it, y'all. Oh, so good. All right, we don't have time for the outside in. We are going to get out of here. I'm all kinds of fired up. That was fun.
Love it.
Looking forward to the next time we're going to talk about 90% of the stuff we agree with. That's just the way it works. That's how it is. So, Moon's next. We'll see you.
That's why when I gave you the countdown, you're like, no, 53. I'm like, wait, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Not 51 to meet the spot. Not 52. 53 to know how
53.
little I've got on the back end. I
was like,
wanted to hit the
wow.
prostate cancer thing because that's actual news.
Right.
That's real
good,
news.
yeah.
That's not opinion. That's not Fox News, CNN battling back and forth. That's not a food fight.
Right.
That's actual news.
Yes.
His take on Doge. And a lot of the frustration is because they know the gravy train's ending.
I think that was the first time I've ever just like questioned, like, wait, 53. I was like,
his
what?
press person just texted me back. Glad you two had fun. I'm not the guy. When I hear something I disagree with, I'm not the guy that says I want to run away from it. I'm not the guy that says cut this off. I'm the guy that says bring it on.
Yeah,
let's
go.
continue down the path.
Right.
If I think like my cousin Vinny, everything that guy just said is bullshit. Thank you. If I'm but I can't just say that. I've got to come back with facts.
Yeah.
And the problem with those right now is we don't have enough under our belts to know what facts are. All we have under our belts right now is what's being reported on what's about to happen or what could happen.
Yeah.
Elon Musk was elected the same way that Anthony Fauci was elected. Neither one were. That's part of the executive branch is what we're seeing right now. Oh,
but it goes back to, it's kind of childish, but my side good, your side bad.
Always.
You know what I mean?
Always.
Like,
and this isn't politics. This is right. No, it is politics.
No, it's politics.
Where we're at right now is the politics.
Yeah.
When we start to see gas prices come down, diesel prices, the moment diesel prices come down, all of your groceries are going to get cheaper because it's going to cost less to drive an 18-wheeler. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. The more can be grown here in America, prices are going to come down because supply is going to go up.
Yeah.
That's economics right there. That's not politics. That is economics. So, oh.
It's a good way to end the show, though.
I think so.
It was good.
I think so.
See, you were kind of like,
I still feel like I got hit by a bus. I do.
But you feel like
really
you get hit
think
by
I'm
a bus
sick.
that's on an adrenaline rush.
But
right
I'm
now.
I'm going to crash in about 10 minutes. Completely. Oh, my God. Thank y'all for playing along. I really appreciate it. We'll see y'all tomorrow at La B.